3.
All right, welcome to Kilgallon's Pub. This is the podcast where I, comedian Joe Kilgallon, like to sit back, have some drinks with people, and recreate that bar conversation we all know and love. If you're checking it out for the very first time, maybe you're seeing us on Facebook because we are live on Facebook. We record it live out of Chicago, Illinois, and I have different comedian guests on and some people who aren't. And we drink, and sometimes we don't, but we always try to have a good time with it. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Kilgallon's Pub, on Instagram at Kilgallon's Pub. Follow me at Joe Kilgallon on all the platforms. This is going to be a fun one today. I don't have any sound in my headphones, though, James, so if you could fix that, that'd be great.
Turn you up, yeah.
Could you turn me up? Yeah, I can't hear myself. Thanks, man. I've got a returning guest, a returning champion, the one, the only Chelsea Hood. What's up, Chelsea?
It's me. It's good to be back.
I've never called you Chelsea before. What do you think of Chelsea?
That's what my family calls me.
Okay, so that didn't bother you.
That's the second time podcast recording type of banter that we would have.
Yes, right?
You know what I mean? Like we went so deep into it in the pub the first time, but now you're like, I'm gonna call you Chelsea.
Established.
And I'm like, yeah, that's actually a pretty clean call because that's who I am.
You are a Chelsea. You come off as a Chelsea, but you never know with some people. You ever have it where you're like, hey, what's up there, Kel? And they're like, my name's Kelly. Please don't call me Kel.
Don't. I got a bad nickname.
What's your nickname?
Chood.
Oh, because Chelsea Hood. Chood.
Mm-hmm.
Chood definitely sounds like something next to the taint.
It's Chood. It's for sure Chood.
Yeah.
And that was my high school login.
Was Chood?
For all the computer stuff was Chood. And that did not.
Because
met high school kids. Yeah,
the
they
administration
don't call you
gave it to you because C Hood.
Yeah,
Chood.
Yeah.
All right, Chood's pretty.
So my best friend calls me Choody.
Chood sounds worse than Chode.
It's almost it's like a.
Women don't really have a chode.
It's like a chode. Well, I do. Am I not supposed to?
No,
what
I
am
mean
doing
like
with this thing?
not as much. I mean, there's obviously there's some space, duh. But
really limited space. How much space is there supposed to be? I'm
I don't know. I know
like,
that
I think like an inch.
It's way more
in
than a man.
1.5. Is that about right?
Is that gonna be like a new female beauty standards thing? You know, for a while it's like her thighs don't
Excuse
touch.
me,
Fuck
how
her.
far is her pussy hole from her asshole?
Yeah.
Is that pretty opening material?
I think so.
Walking right into it.
Well, yeah, definitely. That's how I do it when I run into friends at a bar. I haven't seen them in a while. I wanted to ask you this. I actually wanted 2 female guests on this week because I've never had 2 women together on the podcast, specifically the podcast, because Chelsea's a 4-year-old who made fun of me earlier for saying I've never had 2 women before.
Jill's never had a threesome.
I never have had a threesome, actually. And
Such a dad.
Don't need to make me feel bad about that either. And what was happened last week, so I had Nate Burrows and Ed Towns on. Are these the headphones that'll work?
Yeah. Try
okay,
those.
Cool. I'll try those. Sorry, everybody, getting a little weird with you.
No, you're good. Might have to pass them under the table, too.
All right.
Technical
this is hilarious right now.
I got it.
We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, everybody. I got a new thing. I might make a weekly segment here. I'm going to ask Chelsea a fun question. I'm going to ask Chelsea a fun question right now, too.
I'm ready for
Should we just go across the table with you? Let's do that.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm ready.
Hold
Those
on.
work. I know they do because I just had them on.
All right, testing. I can't hear myself at all on them. Don't worry about it. Fuck
He's
it.
so pretty.
They don't work.
He's
What do you want me
really
to do?
pretty. They do. I just had them on my dome. Like they for sure were.
Did they uncome? Did the cum go back in? Did your dick? No. Did
Why don't you flip them on real quick?
You know what's pissing me off is
What?
that I had like the greatest. We were gonna start this podcast so well. Like if I'm listening to this for the first time, this
We're gonna
sucks. I
pause
hate
this
this.
out.
No, we can't.
We're gonna pause.
We're live.
We're live.
We
but
got 4
I'll
people
edit
watching,
I'll edit this when I put it
baby.
on.
It's wrapped around
Here,
the leg.
kick him underneath the table.
Welcome to my life.
Chuck him. I'll catch him.
This is good content.
It won't reach.
He's just so. It's just his head is so. Here.
No, it's just it won't fucking come.
Well, welcome to my life.
Forget
If
it.
you
Forget
met
it.
me,
Sit down. Don't worry about it. I don't care. I can hear you.
If you met me as a woman, I have to fix everything.
Jesus Christ. Yes.
You have to fucking bra.
You know what sucks is I have to do work now
You just asked me what the
for
fucking
this.
thing is.
No, I can't. You're not even talking to the fucking microphone.
They can hear me.
No, I'm
sure.
not. I want this to be good, so we'll just wait for 2 awkward minutes. If you're listening, anyone saying hi?
Yeah, Chad McDaniel's laughing his ass off. I told you this is good content.
No, the beautiful thing is that when you send me the MP3,
Right.
which I should just start bringing my computer so I could get it from you right away. That I won't have to nag you the next day.
Yeah.
I
It's fine.
I usually could just upload that right away, but now I'm gonna have to fucking cut it some parts.
I'll cut
You're
it.
not gonna have to cut it.
I know where to
How's
mark
this
it.
angle?
We're good.
Better?
Yeah, but I still can't hear shit though. It's not on.
Wait, are you having hearing problems?
No, I'm not hearing. I know what hearing is.
Here.
I really can't hear anything.
Here.
So that's why I took them off. If I can't hear anything, what's the point of having headphones
I know.
on?
I mean, he is really fired up. Your boy's fired up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm in a good mood. I'm just trying. There we
Yeah.
go.
Oh,
this sounds so good. No, I'm not kidding. James,
You wanna
check it
use-
out, man. They're not.
James,
they weren't.
just
You
use
can't
one
hear.
of these pairs that also works.
Yeah. Okay.
If it works, I'm gonna be shocked to shit. Tell me that works.
It works.
That one doesn't.
No, that
Okay,
one I
but
told
this
you. I
one
wasn't
does.
lying, man. It's probably just got unplugged somewhere. This is a good brand. Does
Yeah,
that
I
one
mean,
work?
you can hear it's working.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
After you touched the volume a little bit there.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
you got. Maybe when you unpassed them, something got weird with it.
I don't. Sure.
All right.
Whatever you need to sleep at night.
All right, I'm gonna wait for James to get back in his seat. Take your time, though, obviously, because for this one, this is a question that's gonna want some good facial expressions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talk about a build-up.
It's gonna be
you
quite the
know?
build-up. Well, who
I'm-
knows? Maybe you'll disappoint. I'm kidding, not you. Last
Wow.
week I had Nate
Wow.
Burrows. I had comics Nate Burrows and Ed Towns on the podcast.
Love
It was very
both
fun
of
one.
them.
Everyone go back and check it out if you have not already. And we were, running the gamut, going back and forth on different stuff. We started talking about trash talk in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And Nate Burrows brought up Kevin Garnett, who's super famous for trash talk. He once said to Carmelo Anthony, "Your wife's pussy tastes like Honey Nut Cheerios," because I guess she'd gotten around before they settled down. And I remember during that last week's podcast saying, "Damn, I wish you two were women, because I would love to ask the question, if you were a woman and your vagina could taste like any cereal, what cereal would you want your vagina to taste
Oh
like?"
hell yeah! Okay.
It's a fun one, right?
Yo, this is a good one. I'm not offended at all.
If you
I've
say something like
actually-
total, I'm going to ask you to leave, because that'd be, come on.
No,
It's got to be a
I
fun one.
mean,
Can't be something healthy. Some
Total rules, though.
grapefruit nut and something. What?
Total's good.
Total is good for you, but it's not a good tasting
good?
cereal.
Yeah,
No, you
No, I
got
mean,
to.
like if you're gonna be healthy at all, it'd be like Cinnamon Life, you know?
Yeah, cinnamon would be. Oh,
like,
I'd be,
that's like a
you'd be very happy if
Yo,
you
yeah,
came down on
Cinnamon
some
Life.
cinnamon.
I'd be like, don't come up for air for a while. I'm trying to think, like, but also like whoops, all berries, Captain Crunch, you know, like.
Yeah,
like,
Nate Burrows
I
said
wanna
something. He made like a reference, like,
like-
crunch berry pussy or
Yeah,
something like that.
like I think something like a little. Also, as a redhead, I gotta go. What do we got? Like a special case strawberry edition.
Oh, I
Like,
thought
if
you were
you're
gonna say something like
stay-
Lucky Charms or something like that.
Oh no,
It's too
heck.
stereotypical.
those marshmallows are too chalky. You know what I mean? Like that's a bad.
I'm not a
rap.
marshmallow in my cereals fan.
No, who is?
I'd
Also,
be
that's
cool
not
if
a
like
real
going down on
marshmallow.
some tricks.
What's wrong with marshmallows?
Tricks would be fun. Cocoa Krispies, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yo, yeah, I mean that doesn't feel. I feel like I'm gentrifying something if I try to go cocoa anything.
Oh.
though. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know how.
I'm like, I already have moved to Brooklyn. I feel bad enough about that. I think I'll stay in the white cereal.
I didn't realize Cocoa Krispies was. I didn't know there was like racial lines between cereal. Is there? Is there some cereal where if like you saw
I
me
almost
walking?
just said something that would have gotten me from ever hosting the Oscars.
Oh, there you go. If I was walking out of a grocery store with a certain brand of cereal as a white guy, would you be like, "Nah, man, that's not for you"? I don't think so, right? I thought cereal's for everybody.
No, but I do find that you like get more respect if you're dating a black dude and he finds out your cereal's in a large bag.
Ah, okay.
He's like, oh, okay, you're not from shit. Okay, cool.
I got you. All right.
Like we can hang.
What about? I've had to do that for cereal before. Go brandless and stuff like that. But yeah, think of the big bag cereal where it's just like this big
Ooh,
floppy.
what about Smacks?
Smacks? You know what cereal would be weird? If I saw like Hispanic people eating Apple Jacks, I'd be like, that doesn't seem right. Not that they can't, but they just wouldn't. Only because growing up, those Apple Jacks commercials never had anyone but the nerdiest suburban white kids in them.
Well, I don't think any commercials had anyone but suburban white kids.
Back in like when we were watching
that's
cereal commercials.
all of them.
Because I haven't seen a cereal commercial in forever, but I remember when I think cereal commercials, I
We
think
just
like
started
Saturday
letting black
morning
people
cartoons.
have TV shows. Like white people
Just
have been
started
assholes
because
for a long
227
time.
wasn't around in the 70s. Good times.
Sanford and Son.
The Jeffersons. These were all great
Family
TV series in the
Matters.
70s. Family Matters was 90s. Started in 89.
80s, yeah.
Yeah,
80s to 90s.
Yeah.
As the entertainment industry gave black men.
I think they have
women,
too much
like-
now. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Joking.
How'd that following drop off? Like down to zero? Down
No,
to
they're
negative?
not
we have
kidding.
negative listeners.
Oh, my God. I had Towns on last week, everybody. What more do you want?
Ed Towns.
It was clearly a joke. Come on. I miss joking like that.
Nolan says the flag's the
Yeah.
wrong way around.
No, it's not.
It's
It's green,
not.
white, and orange.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
mirrored to you,
He's
stupid.
fucking trolling.
Is he trolling? All right, well,
Trolling Nolan, baby.
tip of the hat then, Noli.
Yeah.
I don't you miss that kind of joking around? See, growing up in a city where
Oh.
there were people from all different walks of life, being able to say that stuff, I still feel like if I'm with my Italian or Polish friends and I called them Polak or Dago in public, I don't think I'm getting a look from anybody. But it used to be you could mess with everybody. Like my grade school was like 40% Hispanic, and we gave each other shit all the time, and it was all in good-natured fun. And I feel like that's gone away. You know?
I mean, yeah, I grew up with an immigrant dad, and like Yeah, and everybody's like, oh, he was an immigrant. He spoke English. I'm like, yeah, no. But the immigrant portion where he was like not legally allowed to work in this country and left his entire family.
I mean, you're still
Like,
technically
that
an
stuff
immigrant.
still checks out. Right, yeah. But he would say things about people, like about like racial groups in England, and I was like, whoa, wow.
Well, it depends how you
But
say
that-
it. There's got to be context.
But yeah, but he's like,
to the
that's just how
content.
it. Yeah, he's like, that's just always how it's been. Like, we just say this and that, and like, I came from that like very like blue collar family that was like,
Yeah, so totally.
you just call it like you see it, and then now, I mean, that was hard for me. I think like taking that kind of like blue collar like lifestyle, and then moving to Brooklyn, and just being like, oh, I have so much privilege.
Which is weird because Brooklyn used to be
Whoa.
like that area too, where Brooklyn was super diverse and everyone like had their own little pocket of the city. Which, don't get me wrong, I think when things are mixed together, you get a little bit, you get more flavor. It's a little bit better. I don't know. And
I think so.
yeah, but I definitely think those like big cities used to be notorious for it. Colin Quinn. You ever see this, James? Colin Quinn had a special. I think it's still on Netflix. Everyone, maybe check it out. I watched it once. Thought it was amazing. Called like his New York Story or a New York Story
I have
or
seen
something
that,
like
but I mean, like 10 years ago.
It's brilliant. Like he does one joke where because he talked about each part of New York and this ethnicity lived here, this group lived here, blah blah blah. This religion was here, and all that.
Like, oh, the Greeks are in Queens, and
It was so funny. He talked about this one about like going through like how people would talk about they would give directions in a way that nobody would give directions like this anymore. You'd say to someone, "Oh, I need to find this," and they'd be like, "All right, here's what you do: you go down the street, you'll take a right at that Puerto Rican building, and then you'll go down here, and then then someone's like, whoa, how do you know it's a Puerto Rican building?" He's like, "Oh no, well." They said, "What? No." They said, "What's a Puerto Rican building?" It's like, "Oh, a bunch of Puerto Ricans will be hanging out in front of it."
There's gonna be a woman sitting on top of a boombox.
Yeah.
On the stoop. That's a Puerto Rican building. I know because I
And then
called
the person's
311 on her all the time.
It's like, do Puerto Ricans always hang outside the building? Yeah. It
Yeah.
was like, I was like, yeah, there's Puerto Rican. Of course.
Guess what? They're probably in Looney Tunes pajama pants.
I think he said, "Trust me, they're Puerto Rican. They'll be outside the building."
There's a dude. I lived down the street from a drug dealer in Brooklyn, and I know he was a drug dealer because he was always waxing his Audi in Looney Tunes pajama pants. I was like,
That dude sounds fun. I like
and I
him.
was like, homie, like you don't work. You're never at work all day on a Tuesday. You're just out here waxing an Audi. Like, what
That's
is
the
your
life.
And then, and then I saw like a beat down go down. But I knew way before that like that was the porch to steer clear of. Like that stoop was active.
Also,
was
if
an
you own a
active
car in whatever neighborhood you lived in,
steer. I was in Bushwick.
Bushwick, people don't typically own cars in that
Well,
neighborhood, right?
Bushwick's New Williamsburg. Bushwick's money now, but it wasn't when I moved there. I moved into Bed-Stuy, and then I moved to Bed-Stuy like right before the Eric Garner like chokeout happened in Staten Island. And then I was home for Christmas, and my parents saw my apartment.
That happened in
on
Staten
CNN.
Island?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, I thought it was in Brooklyn. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think it was Staten Island.
No, you could be right.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Sucked either way.
Either way, it was a
It's a bad deal.
We gotta stop the police from killing people, which is pretty huge. But my parents saw my apartment on CNN, and they were like, "Is that your apartment on the news with cops and riot gear?" And I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, you need to move. So
I would be
"All
like,
right,
no.
fine,
What are the odds of it happening again?
I know. I was like, well, I'll move to Bushwick, I guess.
That's how I view crime, unless you're in an area that's obviously, there's some parts of Chicago that are like war zones, unfortunately. But like freak occurrences and stuff like that, like I would have flown the day after 9/11. That would have been the day I wanted to get on a plane because it's not gonna happen 2 days in a row. What were the odds? That's how I would have viewed it.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that like approach. I don't think that's a bad approach.
Sure,
I think,
right?
Yeah, I mean, specifically with like large.
I mean, obviously,
like
if
a
you
large tragedy,
it's one of those fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you type of thing, or fool me, the other way around. People
you
always
say
fuck that
you
up.
say like fly the day after 9/11, like dating a hairstylist. Like no, I already know. I know how this works out.
Well, if you would fly on the day after 9/11, which obviously they're all grounded, but if you were on a plane, say they weren't, and you're like, this is the best day to fly, this is great, that nobody wanted to fly, a bunch of pussies, what are the odds? And that happened again, you're like, damn, I just was meant to die today.
Yeah,
like a Final Destination situation.
I fucked up. Yeah.
So anyway, so you didn't really settle on a cereal. You just gave me flavors. I want a specific brand.
Man.
I want one with a cartoon.
Okay.
That doesn't have to be that way.
I mean, Trix. Oh
Acid
God,
tricks.
no, they're for kids.
Oh damn! You can't do that. You're right.
Yeah.
What's a good one to have then? You know what one I always
like
thought was.
Smacks.
All right, Smacks is pretty good. What's
It's like honey
Smacks'
sweet.
slogan? Smacks has the frog on it.
Yeah, that wackadoo frog.
You really want a frog associated with your?
Have you seen the tongue on a frog?
It's pretty good actually.
It's actually
subliminal.
Pretty killer
It
move.
makes you think I gotta.
Yeah,
So if
they're
you're-
good underwater.
Okay, that brings me to my next question, Chelsea. If you were to have any animal go down on you, which one would it be?
Oh, I can't believe this is
Gotta be
the
a frog,
chain
man,
of,
because they pick little things. Think about it. They get a fly in midair. A frog could get a fly in midair with its tongue. It's gonna get your clit, no problem. From like 8 feet
Can
out.
I be honest?
too.
I want a little more suction.
Well, I don't know. We gotta.
Like the tongue from 3 feet
Anyone,
out.
if you've ever had a frog go down on you, hit us up. We need to find out.
Because the
See, I'm getting
tongue,
real.
like,
I'm getting real pervy on this one.
well,
I feel
yeah,
like.
but that's great. I'm a perv. The tongue from that many feet out, it's like there's no intimacy.
You're right. You kind of want to feel the mouth around.
Yeah,
right?
it's like if you're just shooting your tongue out from 4 feet out.
I just imagine a guy with
like-
a frog tongue playing Xbox and being like, "Well, hold on."
Yeah, I'm just over there like, baby, come back.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that gets a little fucked up. Oof.
See, you can't ask this question to a man. You can't ask a man what animal would you want to go down on you because there's too much teeth involved.
What the fuck
Oh.
did I walk into?
Yeah, you left the room and it got real.
God. By the way, Chad McDaniel is
I don't know.
Lucky Charms all the way, baby.
You'd want to go down some Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some lucky-
with
some
that
lucky vag.
chalky ass fake marshmallow that needs. You better be good at it because it needs a lot of lubrication to make those marshmallows, baby. I think a frog is like too. Yeah, there's too much distance. They can really shoot it out and
Yeah,
make
gotta
you
be a
think
little
they
bit
give a
closer.
shit. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what animal with a tongue. Well, dog is man's best friend. Woman's
No,
too.
absolutely not. I like dogs too. I respect dogs too much.
Really?
Yeah, that's pretty telling of how I feel about men.
I know.
but-
I'm sure any guy you meet, you're just like, get the fuck down there.
I think.
I'm trying to think as a man what animal would be like. First of all, this is very gross now that I'm thinking about because now I'm visualizing. At
I
first,
know, but
it was
now
you doing the
it's- I'm
visualization.
It's still
Yeah.
pretty
Now it's
funny.
mine.
Now it's gross.
I think dolphins are a sexy animal. Like I
No,
used to
they
joke
rape
about
people.
spooning. Well,
A dolphin will put
not
its
all of
dolphin
them
dick in your
will.
ass,
Not
for
all of them
sure,
do.
100%.
What if I got a female dolphin? Would you just would you just put it on my face?
She'll rub on you.
Don't, isn't that kind of
No,
what
but
you
tell
want?
me there's not a better mammal to spoon than a dolphin because they're curved. Like ooh, you could just hug up around them.
I spent the weekend
know?
with a boxer. It was pretty good.
A boxer. My dog's a
Dog.
boxer lab.
Oh, yeah.
didn't know if
love
you meant
it.
like a
I
man
love
boxer.
No.
Because we will
no.
talk about your relationship in a
Plural.
little bit. Oh, James left when we were talking about how you used to be able to like bust chops with people, and I still think in your friend group you can, but like if you say it publicly, people will immediately think the worst of you. That's what I was getting at last week. How we're all too quick to think the worst in people, and I just wish we didn't do that. Right?
Yeah.
You overhear someone
but
say
it's
something, you don't know the
unfortunate because-
context.
But it's unfortunate because if you look at our commander in chief and you look at a couple of other people.
But why? Why are we looking at him still?
We're not, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, he is still running the country.
I know, but people gotta stop being so obsessed. People are obsessed.
I'm not. I turned CNN off on my phone the day.
Good, you should have. Everyone's still. It's amazing
Because
to
I
me
was
the
like,
people
this
I
is
know.
going
I'm
to be
like,
a cartoon. At this point, it's going to be a farce.
people don't
Like,
realize that they're addicted to him. They don't. People do not
people
realize.
People are addicted to
And
the
they'll
news.
say, "I hate him." They go,
It's
"No,
not
yeah,
him, it's
you're
the
addicted to the
news.
hate of him."
People are addicted to the news because, first of all, they don't have
But
any
he
original
drives it,
thought.
too.
It's
But
not
they don't
even-
have
it's not even
most people
news.
don't have any fucking original thought.
It's headlines.
Oh,
People are
yeah.
still shocked by his. Can you believe what he tweeted today?
The
No, yes,
24-hour
I
news
can. He
cycle
tweets dumb
is
shit every
super
time.
toxic.
I've unfollowed every single source of news on all social media.
I did a
I've
long time
never
ago.
been
It's toxic.
happier.
Yeah, I feel great. People are like, well, because here's the thing, right? Like, people are like, what do you mean you don't follow the news? I'm like, let me guess.
Yeah,
Ready?
and then you're pretty dead
Let me
on.
guess. He's still a fucking racist monster. And we've done nothing to solve the fact that people are like homeless, hungry, and need health insurance. Did I get it?
I mean, we
Did I
keep-
nail it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are we
pretty
still
much.
treating people of color like shit? Okay. Well, then when that starts to get better, I will launch myself into a news cycle. Until then, I will donate to organizations that I think make a difference.
There's a new report saying Asians get treated very well, though, so we did make progress there.
We'll see. But I mean,
Wow.
sure, Crazy Rich Asians was a huge movie. I also think yes, you can follow the news cycle, but more importantly, why are you not volunteering your time and donating resources in your own community and making an impact locally?
Who really wants to meet their neighbors, though? Doesn't that sound awful?
My neighbors are cool.
You have to know your neighbors.
Oh, I bake cookies for my landlord.
I'm good friends with people who are 2 doors down, and the guys, they're fine. But like the idea of every now and then people are like, dude, every community needs to get together. I'm like, look, I think everyone needs to be polite to each other, but I don't want to have to say hi to everyone.
But that's how you
when
solve
I'm
the
running
problem,
out.
Joe.
But
How
see,
is that?
I do that. I mean, I like specifically
being nice
shop
to people. I give them head nods. when
Nice
I'm
to
on the
people
street.
in your immediate area.
But you
I
can
am. I
like,
say what's up to the guy on my
are you
block.
a gentrifier?
No.
See, I am. I mean, I live in Logan Square as a white girl, so I
But
try to.
Is it still considered gentrification? Because that neighborhood got
No.
gentrified. Like it's been 10 years now.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over. You're
Nah,
not even
you
part
should
of it.
still support. You should still support Latino-owned businesses.
But
Oh,
sure.
sure.
But are there any Latinos left in Logan Square? That gentrification process started like 10 to 12 years ago, and you're at the end of it.
I still have a lot of Latino neighbors.
You do? Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what part of Logan Square are you in?
Like, not gonna give my address.
Well,
out
of
on a
course not.
podcast.
That's stupid. Don't even give the streets. It doesn't matter.
but
Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah. No, but
People
like,
listening across the country
almost
don't give a
Avondale.
shit anyway about
Almost
the specific
Avondale.
neighborhood.
But yeah, I mean,
Well, you should shop locally no matter where you live, of course. I get that.
Correct.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
That's why
I
just
just
think,
laugh
think
about
people are
the.
obsessed with like the global impact of what's happening in like our current leadership situation, and it makes no sense to me because it's not real. He's not. I mean, he's like a real person. He's like making laws, but like in the same way that tides change.
Well, he's not really making laws.
It's I mean, he's
saying stupid shit, and it affect tides is a good word. It'll affect things. That's the one thing about the president being such like a mouthpiece for the country, and why it is important that the president, Democrat or Republican, knows how to speak and knows how to communicate, because communication is like the biggest part of that job.
Yeah.
So if you're running your mouth saying stupid shit here or there, or telling people global warming isn't real, or saying the stock market's fine when things aren't, and the president could swing the markets.
Oh,
And-
he
He
has.
has, yeah. I don't-
Immediately when he got into office, he started talking about.
Hey,
the
we
stock
are not
market.
talking about him.
Yeah,
We just
but the
talked about
stock
how we don't
market
wanna
has
talk about
done. The stock market's been going fine for like the last 9 years now. Really,
Yeah.
the stock market's overrated when it comes to terms of affecting the economy as a
Sort of
whole.
beer
Anyway,
graveyard.
yeah, for sure, right?
Yeah.
We're drinking old style beer, everyone, which is the cheap beer
It's
here
the
in
beer of
Chicago.
Chicago, Illinois.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers to that.
Thanks for having me at the pub.
Thanks for coming back, Chelsea.
Thanks for having me on your album recording last week.
Yes, we can talk about that.
Let's talk about
Everyone,
that.
I got to give a big thanks to everyone who bought tickets. We sold out both shows. I was very pumped about that this past Saturday at Timothy O'Toole. So thanks to the venue itself, Timothy O'Toole's. Thanks to my comedians you should know, brothers and sister, Danny Callis, Blake Burkhart, Allison Dunn, Jonah Jerkins, Marty DeRosa for hosting the hell out of both shows, Chelsea Hood and Pat Tomasulo
Marty
for
was
doing the
such
early
a great
show.
host
Oh,
for
yeah,
that room. He's so good at being dislikable enough to keep everybody in line.
Yes, right? I remember
Yeah.
he had settled down this group of people talking. It was like 3 or 4 women and 2 gay guys, I believe. It was a group
Not
of like
surprising,
6.
it was 4 blonde women.
Yes, 4
As
blonde
a
women
redhead,
and 2
I'm
gay
allowed
men.
to hate blonde women.
That's fine, but it gets weird. It gets weirder. You're allowed to. Anyone's allowed to hate anyone you want. It's America, baby. Hate whoever you
Yeah,
decide
look
to
at
hate.
our leader. JK.
Sure, you could love him, you could hate him, you could do whatever you want. And what are you laughing about, James?
Nothing.
No, I'm trying to
I
get
can't
back.
wait to clip you saying it's America. You can hate whoever you want.
You can. Why not? No, I definitely you can.
You can.
You're allowed to legally hate
You
people.
are allowed to legally hate people.
Is there something wrong with that statement?
No, there's nothing technically wrong with that statement.
Joe's so worried about being public enemy number 1.
No, because I say stuff and you two react like fucking
Well, you think
like the biggest left-wing liberals I've
Hey,
ever called. Oh my god,
hey,
he said
come on.
this. Ooh.
Come on.
Like I'm about to get fired and you guys want to get out of the shot, like that Jimmy the Greek situation where I'm like, I made one harmless joke earlier that was so tongue-in-cheek it was ridiculous, and then I talked about how you're allowed to hate everybody, and I feel like you guys are like, well, Joe, we don't believe that in New America.
I didn't say any
My
of that
headphones
shit.
are still on.
I
not
know,
going
but
to-
you guys with your fucking dumb little smirks, the both of you. By the way, why is it when I say something like that, the fact that you guys are silent afterwards and don't laugh a little bit makes me feel like, ooh, that was too mean, Joe.
Oh, the dumb little smirk?
Was dumb little
you're
smirk
gonna have
that
to
mean?
work. No, you're gonna have to work way harder. Than
All right,
that to
good.
offend
I'm just
me.
making sure. Well, I'm not trying to. I don't want to offend you. You're my
You've already
friend.
beaten
We're
me
doing
down
fine.
so much.
We're
that I
talking
to-
about
Have I
this.
beaten
We're
you down,
talking
James?
about these piece of
When have
shit
I ever said anything bad to you?
that talked through the whole first
Yes,
half
fuck
of
these
your
people.
show.
No, you were talking. Marty did an amazing job, but it was funny to me because Marty did address them before you came on. He's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
it's a recording. You guys, you got to shut up." But-
Shut it out.
And he was trying
Yeah.
to like, and you're right. He handled that in a way in which he still had enough authority for people to be like, "All right, we should listen."
He does have that.
But but like you were saying, but still made it like likable, right? Where I remember he came up to me after was like giving me a look like, well, that's the best I could. I'm like, no, dude, that was perfect. You handled that great.
It was perfect, yeah.
I go, if it were me, it would have been way worse. And he laughed because I'm like, I can't hold the line. He held the line, you know, the line of between getting your point
she
across,
was bitching
but
him out
also
after the
not
show.
being hated. I know. This is where I'm going to go to this. So, James, I'm sure you heard this.
Yeah, I heard this.
This woman came up to Marty, and I think the quote was, what kind of man are you? Or you're the worst person I've ever seen.
Right after she said that. So I was leaving.
So you heard the phrase?
As this happened. No.
Okay.
So we're leaving. I'm leaving. And Marty is talking to her. And she goes, you're like not even a man or something. And I look at her and I go, you know what's funny? You were fucking terrible. I go, you were the worst part of my night. And she's like, well, actually, I liked you.
You
and
said that to her?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Hell
Because
yeah.
I was
know
like,
that.
I was
Fuck
like,
yeah,
I was
Chelsea.
like,
dude.
because
Yeah, I love it.
could tell that she liked me, and I was like, oh no. This isn't like solidarity, bitches. This is like you're a train wreck, and I want to acknowledge it. You're 40 with your tits out, and we're gonna talk about it.
I didn't know any of them.
Hell
So when they were
yeah.
talking during Pat Tomasulo's set, I said to Danny, I go, kick them out. I don't know who the hell these people are. No skin off my back. I'd rather those seats be empty than have people talking.
Right.
Right?
It's a liability. They were also right next to the left crowd mic.
Yeah,
So like
I figured.
if they had talked, which they did not talk, thank God.
Well, Marty shut him down
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah.
Marty's
he
a
did a
fucking
great
pro,
job.
dude. Marty's the best.
They didn't talk, but they also didn't laugh
He's a pro,
either,
but then
which
you
is
know what
fine.
sucks?
Just fuck them. I'd rather than be quiet. I'd rather
What
lose their
sucked
mouths.
was that was like he had to be the bad guy, right? And then I watched her like shitting on him, and I was like, he doesn't deserve this. He handled it so beautifully.
Well, they don't respect what you guys
What
do.
he's doing, right? And
Was
so
he just like this? Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
he was
yeah.
like, well, I just hope you have a really nice night. And
Did
he was
she?
like,
Did she say?
So nice.
Did she
That's
like
the
threaten?
best.
I'm gonna talk to your manager.
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
no,
and then-
no. I was just like
She
said to her,
did
I was
say
like,
that,
what's
though.
funny is that you're actually the worst. And she's like, well, I really liked you. And I was like, I don't care. I don't like you.
That's fucking.
And she's like, but I thought you were one of the good ones. And I was like, yeah, but you're a shitty audience member.
They were such shit. How do you go to a fucking comedy show, and especially in the beginning, and it says it on the ticket. So when they bought, because they bought online, you know, I think everyone bought online. The show sold out before, so
That
they
woman
had
doesn't
to.
know how to read.
So you buy a ticket online in which the ticket is called Joe Kilgallon album recording on the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
What do you, first of all, you know, you should have Googled me to see if you liked who you're going to see.
Correct.
Just buy a ticket to see me. Like you should, you know, my name's on the thing. It wasn't like a random Wednesday show that we do at Comedians You Should Know.
Yeah.
Which aren't random, they're every Wednesday, but you know what I mean? Like a random lineup.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
what I meant to say.
yeah,
Different
random
different,
draw.
Yes, exactly. Different comedians every week. It's showcase style. So, and on top of that, when you get called out, these are the same people that when you shush them, they go shh even louder back. You ever do that to someone? You go shh, and then they go shh, and then they stretch it out, and you're like, you were a piece of shit. Or if you're driving, and they're like, they fell asleep at a green light.
And you honk, they fucking flip you off.
Well, not
You're
even
like-
the flipping off is second to what the worst thing people do in this situation. Say the light turns green, they're not paying attention on their phone, they're sleeping a little bit. You give them the gentle beep, the beep, right? The little beep.
They sit there to prove a point.
They do that, but then they even go even slower. They kind of give you that. You can see them looking up the rear, and they go, "Really gonna beep at me? Oh, I'm going fucking slower now." It's like, no, you're a dick. Admit this is what the horn was put in for, to wake you up. Acknowledge it. Be like, shit, my bad, and keep going.
Yeah, I do a little, whoop, sorry, man.
Yeah, I do. All my
Yeah.
fault, and then I drive
Little
faster because I
wave
don't want to be
ski?
that guy.
A little fucking wave ski.
I try to
It's
make up for it by
honestly-
beating him to the next light.
Dude, I had a guy last week driving from Hyde Park, south side of Chicago, folks, listening in Ireland.
There you go.
Driving from the south side of Chicago to the north side, and there's like one of those flat front Isuzu trucks behind me. You know what I'm talking about? Where there's like the windshield is the same.
Yeah. Like
That's-
if you-
I don't know
if you
where
hit
this. I
someone,
don't know
you're
where the
going
engine's
flying.
stored, but yeah, it's wild. So I had to merge. I know my turn signal's out, okay? I left it at the shop on Saturday. I'm not an asshole, right? But it was not intact. So I just did a little over-the-shoulder point, I'm coming in. He lays on his horn and then throws his brights on and then rides my ass for like 3 miles.
Oh, that's when I just
And I was
I
like-
shove it in park
Oh,
at that
yeah,
point.
dude, I slammed on my brakes. He almost hit me, and then he's like real pissed. And then he eventually goes around me, cuts me off, slams on his brakes. Homie is in a rental truck. I was like, oh, that's cute. If you think my white lady ass didn't pull a similar move to what Marty had to deal with, I just was like, hey, this person's renting your truck and they're driving like a maniac.
Yeah.
And I was like, I will fully acknowledge my turn signal was not working, but like,
Still, no, right?
But still, like, it's like that kind of behavior where people like, and what she was doing, it's like the double down on being an asshole.
People just
That's
don't wanna-
the biggest
understand.
problem.
People just don't want to be wrong.
They can't own up to it. You know, they can't. They don't want to be wrong. They feel embarrassed instead of just saying my mistake or whatever.
Yeah.
That's something I think that needs to be taught at like such a young level. If you're a teacher out there, you got to get that through people's heads early on. There's
That's
nothing.
a parenting thing.
But it's both. It's both,
Is
right?
it?
Here's the thing, though. I know a lot of shitty parents, and yeah, there's bad
Yeah.
teachers too.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's something that both could do. Teachers, I feel like, look, there's some skills. No one's ever gonna. Calculus is stupid, right? Most math you're
Oh,
teaching
hell
the
yeah.
kid, they're never gonna use again
I
anyway.
refuse to take my chemistry final.
I heard they're not even teaching cursive anymore because it's like, what's the point?
No,
one's-
I put my
one's
name on my
writing.
chemistry final. I slid it across the table. I was like, I did exactly enough work to get a D in this class. I will not take this test. And then I went and threw a pot in the pottery studio.
Nice.
Fuck you.
I
I know who I am. I'm not doing math stuff.
It's
Hate
dumb.
to break it to you.
But we can teach these kids how to be better human beings that affect society.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with making a mistake. It does not mean you're a bad person. What makes you a bad person is how you react to that fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, you always say like if that's a big thing in life. If you get caught doing something stupid, it's how you respond to that. Now, obviously, if you killed someone, get the fuck out of Dodge. Try to run as much as you can.
Yeah.
Don't own up to that. Are you insane? What do you want to go to jail the
get a
rest of your
small
life?
boat.
Move. Fucking start swimming south. But if you do something real minor, like, you know, you ate the last piece of cake, you didn't know someone was saving for someone else, just be like, I'm so sorry. Don't be like, well, you should have fucking labeled the cake better. How am I supposed to know? I think I can eat all the cake.
It's reactionary shit where
Yeah,
people
it's-
feel
don't be that
stupid.
person.
I don't. It's such a weird thing, though, isn't it? Like people feel stupid and then they react even more poorly, and it compounds itself.
Do you
And
think
that-
social media and the way that we respond to each other instantly and totally just like emotionless, well, not emotionless, but like facelessly? Do you think
Faceless,
that's
yes.
Yeah, there's an
adding
ambiguity
to the
aspect.
real
Louis
life?
C.K.
Yeah.
Louis C.K. who, you know, to take away all of his shit, he was on
Minus the coming in front of people
Yes.
for pleasure.
who don't want to be coming in front of for pleasure.
Correct.
That's the key part of that. Because otherwise, it doesn't sound so bad.
Some
you got to
people like that.
you got to
Alright,
you got to
so
keep
I'm
the
like, what
consent
kinda-
part into
what
it.
do you want your pussy taste like? What kind
He
of
was
cereal?
on, yeah. He was on Conan years ago, and talking about how all of his daughter's friends, his daughter I think was like 10 or 11 at the time, or I don't know, 9 even, were getting cell phones, and he was like, I was like refusing that, and
It's terrifying to
everyone's like,
me.
well, the other kids. He's like, well, just because all the other kids have shit parents doesn't mean I have to too. I don't, you know. And his whole thing was that when you're a kid, you're building empathy.
Yep.
And not that everything he says was correct, but I think he really had something with this.
Great comic.
Yeah, when he
Great
was
comic,
jerking
yeah.
off, he was great.
Bad at masturbating.
No, yeah,
comic.
great comic. But I'm saying, you know, some people look at comedians as philosophers all the time. Some of that is true. It is also very stupid, though. Thank you,
Well,
James.
I mean, sure, but I do. We'll talk about that maybe in a minute. But I do have thoughts about comedians and like their thought process.
I just didn't want to be like Louis C.K. said, therefore it's word of the Lord, you know. But
No, you're not allowed to say that you're a red-headed white dude.
yeah,
but
I'm not
I
allowed to say anything, apparently.
I can defend him a tiny bit.
Yeah. I think the pendulum's got to start swinging back the other way with some of this shit.
Yeah,
I'm just getting so
it
tired
is.
of being reminded
It
of a
is
straight
right
white
now.
dude.
You're swinging the pendulum right now.
Okay. Not towards you, but in life in general. It's getting. I think that's not
Sure.
helping anything, and I think that's
Well,
why
I
people
have
are going to
thoughts
be very.
about Aziz.
I think that's
and
that we could bring that
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I think that's why people, if I don't sense some sort of like we can't play the same games we played 4 years ago, or not 4 years ago, 3 years ago now.
The difference
People are
is
going to be
that
very
the
sad
thing that's
come
important
November
is that the
2020.
conversation is happening.
No, that's very important. But
So I think that's
but are we
important.
listening? Are
I think-
we treating? You know what I mean?
I think, dude, I think people are listening because I've never seen white dudes so scared in my life, and it's joyous.
Scared. We'll get to that though. I want to get to the Louis C.K. thing because we'll get to that in a second though because we're gonna go to math too because math is something that people keep forgetting about. So
I'm not doing
God.
math.
you're gonna hear some math.
I'll pull up some
Louis
quizzes.
C.K. said, "All right, shut up." Louis C.K. Sorry, man. Louis C.K. said that at that age you're developing empathy and all that kind of stuff, right? And little kids are mean not by nature, but because they're testing it out. So when you say it, like when 2 8-year-olds in second grade are like, "Well, you're fat," and then the other kid starts to like cry, or they go, "Ah, shit, I don't want to make him cry." That
Also, that
making
kid
them feel
wouldn't
bad made
cry
me
if they
feel
weren't
bad.
fat.
That too. They should also think twice about being fat and walking around in public.
Yeah,
But
yo, stop talking about my childhood like that, Joe.
look, should I would not say that to you.
Michelle Obama tried, okay?
Yeah,
She really
be best.
She did. I want the Obamas back. Anyway.
All right, now we'll get slide. Anyway, the point was that like with you brought up the whole social media that's faceless.
Yeah.
And his point is that kids on the phone now will just type in "you're fat."
Yeah.
And they don't have to deal with seeing a hurt person. Because when you see a hurt person, it makes you
when
feel bad.
we
And
were
that's how you develop
kids,
empathy.
You had to break
right?
somebody's heart in person.
Yeah, because then you're like,
Yeah.
oh, shit, I don't want. And then if you didn't feel bad when you made someone cry in front of you, that means you were a little fucking sociopath. And that was a whole other set of
No,
issues.
you had like a weird set of cat paws in a drawer or something.
Yeah, you were burning
Yeah.
ants, Yeah. Smelling your own farts.
I
and-
definitely burnt an ant.
Really? I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. I once stepped on an ant, not fully, felt so bad, kissed it to make it better because my mom, whenever I had a boo-boo, my mom would kiss to make it feel better. I was like 4.
Oh, this is revealing.
No, when you were a little kid, didn't your parents kiss it to make it feel better when you were a little kid if you were like a boo-boo?
Yeah.
All right,
They kissed human beings to make them feel better.
Right? Well, no shit, but I accidentally stepped on the ant, not fully, but it was a little bit alive, and I was 4, and my little 4-year-old brain, I'm like, I'll kiss it and make it feel better. That's one of my earliest childhood memories.
That is adorable.
It's adorable, right? I kissed it,
the
and then I looked to see, I'm like, where'd it
nicest
go?
Joe's ever been.
It was crawling on my tongue. I didn't give it the tongue, but I kissed it, and it was on my lip, and then it started, and then went, and I had to get it out. Because I kissed it, and then I looked
Then
up,
you
going,
killed it?
Where'd you go? Well, it got fresh. It got a little fresh. You know what I mean? I still believe in consent even at the young age of 4, and that ant overstepped some boundaries. Which reminds me of the scene in...
Oh, go ahead.
My brain works like in a weird way. I'm like, ooh, I'm right into this now.
Not
But we'll get to
surprising.
this. We are all like that. We're comedians. In Sandlot, you know the scene where he like fakes drowning so he can make out with the lifeguard?
Fuck yes.
I've heard. I remember last baseball season, people were done the top baseball movies, and people started bringing up that scene as being problematic and how terrible it was and all that. And I'm like, it's a child. Story took place in the early '60s, and it was a 9-year-old pulling a gag.
It's not even that
You
it
know?
took place in the 60s.
So that like brings
And
me
not
back.
even that. Not that matters either. You're right.
Yeah.
But to me, that's like there's
for
real
sure,
problems in
for
this country.
sure,
You're gonna
like,
fucking write columns about that.
Yeah, like for sure that behavior is manipulative, but like I think that those stories are built out of young men and women whose parents pay their way and they don't have to have jobs and they just have too much time.
Thank you.
It's
You're
like
dead on, Chood.
all these fucking op-eds and like all these like oh, and you know what's crazy? It's like, yeah, what's crazy is you've never had to clock in to a fucking job and you have too much time to sit here and stroke yourself off on the internet.
I know a lot of
That's
people who
what the
grew up with
problem
money
is.
who now are like so far
You're so removed.
where I'm like they're just I
had a
think they're
job
so
at
guilty about their
14.
rich upbringing.
You should feel guilty about your
There's
rich
two
upbringing.
type of rich people.
Because
There's two type. Well, it depends
it's
how you
two
handle that
different
guilt,
ways.
though.
Right.
Depends how you handle that guilt, though.
Correct.
Because are you trying to set up a society that like fucks over, or you know what I mean? Like it depends. It really does. Because I know there are people who grew up rich who are just like, I grew up rich, was fucking out, and they're dicks, and it's like, okay, fuck you. It's like I used to have a joke where you're like, you've never heard someone go, oh, this is my buddy Mike. He grew up with a trust fund, but he's really cool. He's down. No, it's usually like, oh, he grew up with
Yeah.
no ambition
Dude.
because everything was easy for him, and now he's an asshole,
Yeah,
and we have to
that's
deal with
like
him.
like the trust fund is typically an apology, right?
And
like,
then there
so,
are
like,
other
when
people
are
like go the
oh,
other
hey,
way. Though.
like, hey, this is my buddy James, and he's got a bunch of money, so like, I'm sorry. You know?
Yeah.
Like it's always that. It's always
It's
like
funny
a
you
like
say that.
swoop little.
I grew up
yeah.
rich. My
Did
dad
you?
was, oh man, my dad.
He was a hacker. Of course, he was a rich
Come
kid.
on now. That's,
How do you have all
That's
that
true. I
access
don't know
to
if you're-
technology?
No, no, no.
Middle class
So-
hackers.
No. So we grew up. You know, I lived in Orange County before I came here.
I didn't know that. I knew you were California. I
Like,
knew.
That's why
we-
you fucking
but-
post your keto on Instagram.
Well, no, come on now. But I know
See
a
how
little.
embarrassed he
I
got?
know.
Doing it for motivation. Trying to motivate people
I'm
against
trying to help you
Oh,
guys.
I want to hear you. I want to hear you.
No, but so like
James is hot.
I
It's gonna
grew
be
up.
fine.
I grew up.
Yes.
Thank you. I grew up very rich. Not like upper middle class, maybe lower upper class. I don't know. But like we lived
Anybody
in
that
Orange
says
County.
upper middle class means rich as fuck.
Yeah, it was. We did well, and my dad came from essentially nothing when he was a kid. So, and he taught me to work for everything that I have because that's what he knew. That's all he knew. You know, when I went on my own, finally, he didn't give me really any help. He was like, "Okay, this is your time. Go do it." And you know, I feel like we need to show rich people that they can show their kids to do that.
Yeah, I like
Maybe-
that
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of rich though. I always say like if
I
you're
like rich that's like go out and get it.
yeah, if you grew up
Yeah.
with nothing, or if you started with even not even nothing, if you started middle class even or whatever, but if you worked for what you had,
Yeah.
it's great. I just don't like the ones where their daddy was rich and
Right.
and they handed him stuff.
I didn't have any of that. We had fun vacations and we had like really cool toys, but he always made us work.
I know you
for
work. I
everything.
know you worked your ass off.
Yeah.
That's why I know that's very different. He made
Well,
you
it
work.
shows
yeah.
in
But
what you do now with your life.
It shows
Yeah.
that I had to donate this table. If Daddy was still helping you, I don't think
it's a beautiful tape.
It is nice, right? And yeah, so that's when people say like, "Oh, America hates rich people now," or liberals hate rich people. I go, no, we don't. It's the ones who walk around with a silver spoon in their mouth. What's that old expression? You were born on third base. Don't act like you hit a triple.
Yeah,
that's what it was. These people who are like people who are born rich and they act like I did this myself.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the $1 million loan from my dad, I would have been just poor. Like it's like
well,
wait,
right.
what?
So, like,
they don't even hear themselves.
If you're not paying your rent, I don't want your op-ed. That's my rule.
Yeah,
that's a good rule to have. But so that's what I'm talking about. There are the people like those people who grew up with money and they feel guilty about it. So then they go almost so far the other way where it's like, all right, the things you want now are going to fuck over people who didn't grow up with money. And they don't even quite realize that. And that kind of gets me too. That gets me a little riled up, Because I'm like, all right, just because you feel like you got wronged for some reason because you got ignored. I don't know what, the whole reason that some of these people hate their parents or hate their upbringing or just shun it the way they do. Doesn't mean you have to, I don't know, like go out of your way to shit on the people who are not living that way. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like I didn't explain that quite the way I wanted to. But all right, well, let's talk about this though. We were going to talk about. You had a point. You were going to. Did I get you off topic?
Oh no, I was going to mention like the Aziz thing, like because while we were talking about the culture of all this, right? Like, as a woman who, I mean, let's not get too dark, but like I've had an unwanted sexual experience.
You've had what?
I've had an unwanted sexual experience.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I mean, that's all of us, I think, at this point as women. But what got me about that story, like the Aziz story specifically, in my situation, I remember like staring into the bathroom mirror and being like, I don't want this to happen. I just want to go home. I can't get there right now. That's one thing. In this situation, there's a woman going, I should stop him. And it's like, yeah, maybe do that.
Yeah. The Aziz story was
right. Like
was
there's
the
something
one that
different
was
about
like
coming out of a blackout when somebody's fucking you and being like, "Whoa, how did this happen? Don't do this." I'm not trying to make it weird. I'm trying to make it like
no.
Like I'm trying to make it real honest in a point of like I'm saying this from a place where I feel like I have a right to say it.
The Aziz story happened before the podcast ever started, so I never really got to talk about it on air, and that felt like it was here and gone so quickly.
My issue with that was that I felt like she had a number of chances. Like if somebody's like, suck my dick more or do this or that more, you can. I don't care how famous. Like that felt like she was kind of fame chasing him.
I did feel that way,
and it's. I know that I'm like now public, and now there's like 9 bloggers in Brooklyn that are pissed, but like
because those people listen to this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. They're my target
that's your
demo.
that's your bread and butter, baby. The Aziz story pissed me off because I was like, as somebody who's had an experience that was like massively traumatic, I'm like, don't you dare launch yourself into this realm. And also it just felt like it was part of the takedown culture.
Yeah, so
my argument is I'm tired of the takedown culture of like I can ruin somebody's life with this.
And people they want to do it. They're like, you could tell there's like that eagerness. They're chomping at the bit because every now and then there'll be a story where we heard this. Yeah, no, you talk about it all the time. It's evil. And this has been a theme lately on the podcast because it's what's going on in the world and you can't help but talk about it over some drinks especially. Is some people do say some stupid shit and you should be like, hey, let's have the conversation. Like you were saying, it's important we're having the conversation. And then there are other people where I'm like, is that really what we're going to go out of our way to do? And I don't. It still makes me uncomfortable how excited you could tell some people are to do that. They're excited to take people down.
The takedown thing is weird for me. Like I could list the people that I would love to see taken down. I've also had, I'm a female comedian of 10 years. I have had some experiences with male comedians.
I bet you have.
We'll say that. I've been thrown off a tour for not fucking a headliner.
Holy shit.
In
what
that
was her
moment.
Name?
Cute. That was cute. Do you see what he did there?
Yeah, because women can headline comedy clubs too.
Yeah, well, call me when that starts happening more.
I will.
I would love to get booked. But just kidding. I need 6 credits. So if any of you give credits out, I want those.
Credit cards.
I've had to navigate outing somebody.
Outings
to protect, like somebody that tried to make things.
They were in the closet.
To make no, like
outing was
someone
a bad person.
As like a person that women should be very cautious to work with.
Like a real predator.
Yeah. I mean, but like we came from like a long-standing history of being friendly, and then in that time, some health concerns came up. He was hospitalized for a long time, and in those moments, I think there was like some weird desperation that happened, possibly some personality changes. And then when we came back together to go on the road again, he was a different person, and he just kept trying to like put me on his lap and kept trying to make out with me and like drag me into his hotel room and like physically being very aggressive, and like to where I had to like use like strength to make it stop. And then it's like, okay, I could out this person, but then I'm a victim, and so like, do I want to be known as the girl that outed so and so, or do I want to like stand on my own 2 feet?
But aren't you
worried?
worried?
That's what's so confusing to me about like takedown culture, is that it's like, I think when you've been in a position where, and like he didn't do it, right? Because I didn't let it happen, and like some people aren't in a position to not let it happen. It just happens. But when you're in that mode, how do you differentiate between like as a person, like, oof, I'm gonna be known as the person who outed so and so, or I'm gonna be known as me, a comedian, and like that's what's really, I think, fucked up for women, for victims.
Okay,
like,
yeah,
that's what sucks.
that makes a lot of sense. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions in regards to that, if you're cool with that. A couple might feel
I don't
like,
think that we knew that this was where this was headed.
No,
but
that's fine. That's fine. I've had this before, though, when I get into some serious topics. Like when I had Lisa Traeger on and we were talking about Me Too stuff, I asked a few
I
questions.
love Lisa so hard.
No, she's great. She's my guy. She's my gal. I remember
on the planet right
there
now.
is a thing where I like it as an interview process, but like where you ask a couple questions where you're like, this is so obvious, or it could even come off as dumb to you, but it makes it more beneficial to someone listening who might not normally get it.
I love that.
Because I think a lot of my theories are that James could probably back this up, is that we're dumber than you realize, ladies.
Oh no, I mean I know how
because
dumb you are.
but the number of times
Isn't that common knowledge?
it's not, James, because the number of times women will be like, it's all part of their master manipulative this. I go, that's so diabolical. You're giving us way too much credit. I mean, obviously, there's some pieces of shit who will go to those
are
layers.
women without very good true guy
or
friends.
the guy is just so stupid that you ladies don't realize that that's accidentally what's happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where, because sometimes it's like, no, it's all a big part of this power structure that you all lay down. I'm like, no, we're just walking around. We're not. Trust me. There's no.
Honestly,
you
your
don't hear any
dicks
of
are
this
just
shit.
dragging you guys down the sidewalk.
Yes, it pretty much is. And so
In our mid-30s, I don't think so.
now with the
Yeah,
situation
well-
you're talking about, where it's your balls in your mid-30s, in the situation you're talking about.
Yeah, hold them up when you take a shit.
Yeah, you get older and it's just like, why? What's
No,
happening?
no, I've no idea.
My knees hurt. Why? All right.
No. You can feel them when y'all are fucking. You guys need to start picking those things up.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
So
Party's over.
when you think to yourself, all right, I don't want to be I don't want to be seen as a victim. I don't want to out this guy. But is there any part of you that was worried that if I don't say something,
What's
going
going to happen to somebody
the
else?
Next girl.
Yeah,
the next lady.
that's the biggest concern.
So
That's the part.
Is there any way to take someone like? Is there?
That's why I thought
That's why I thought was cool about the Me Too movement to me was I looked at it from the point of view where it's like, oh, this is almost like unionization of women. It's almost like I used to have a joke where I said women should unionize. I don't know if you remember me doing this joke back in the day. The joke started as a pube joke about pubes because I overheard a couple of female like acquaintances talking at they worked at this a bar we used to do shows at, and the one was
I feel like it was a town hall.
No, I wasn't there. I don't want to name the bar because I still do shows at the bar. I just whatever. No, they don't even work anymore. There's a couple waitresses were over tools, and they're talking about shaving downstairs, you know. And the one's like, I'm done with it. I'm over it. And then she's like, I like it, so I'll still do it, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, guys, it does, we'll bang you either way. Like, I've had guy friends be like, oh, she had hair, but they will still. So, and women are like to me like the NFL, where you could change rules constantly. We're still going to tune in every Sunday.
Dude,
Straight guys are still going to bang you. If you all, I don't know why I stopped doing it. If you all decide we're no longer wearing
Should've
makeup,
been on your album.
Yeah, we'll record it right now. Add some laugh tracks.
We'll put it in there.
No, the thing's gonna be long enough.
Can we get 6 blonde women to talk off to my left-hand side?
4
That'd be
blonde, 2
ideal.
gay guys. I forgot to mention why it's important to mention the 2 gay guys. Because comedian Joe Fernandez, who's been on the podcast, everyone, episode number 4 of Kilgallon's Pub. Funny-ass dude.
Joe Spectrum
They were
showing.
blowing each other in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah,
No,
they
the
were.
two gay
yeah,
guys
yeah,
were
yeah, no, they were. Joe walked in
Joe
on them.
Fernandez.
Joe
why
came
would he lie
out of the
about that?
bathroom to me and goes, I just walked in on 2 dudes blowing each other. One dude's hands were hanging off the stall sides, right? So, like, picture yourself in a shitter.
Yeah.
When you got the 2 sides. One dude had his hands up on the sides, like, gripping as if he was going to do, like, a weird wide arm pull-up.
Yeah.
And then another dude bent down in front of him.
By the way, great way to get a blowjob when you think about it, though. Just fucking arms out like
yeah,
you're about to
Jesus
get
Christ
crucified.
Superstar
Yeah.
style? Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
I feel like you'd really,
Oral
you'd be
sex.
real powerful with your shot on that day.
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
I don't think. I just think. Also, the thing was, it was like 8:00.
Oh, we're
What?
back onto them. I forgot.
It's on
Yeah, they're
Saturday,
awful.
Gay Men Love brunch.
It's a
so
Saturday.
They probably been.
It was a Saturday.
drunk
It was
all
a
day.
7:00 show on a
Yeah.
Saturday, so maybe they got liquored up. It's like, oh, our weekend in Chicago. Who knows? We're gonna go see whatever comedy shows in town. We'll do a
Ugh.
Google search. Oh, it's this guy. Sure. Maybe they caught one clip
You
of
are
mine
a
that they
comedian
liked.
that they should know.
Oh, thank you so much, Chelsea.
Why hasn't no one mentioned how dirty the O'Toole's bathroom is?
The one that we use,
Oh God.
it could be a little.
Oh, the
cleaner
women's
sometimes.
is cleaner. There was no TP like before I went on. So,
There's some real monsters using the men's room in there.
well, have you
Yeah.
been to every men's room in Chicago? It's all a shit show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
O'Toole's
every
is
single
better than
one,
a lot.
I'll tell you.
But yeah, women could definitely. I always thought if you guys all unionized and just said, you know what, we all decided from this day forward, we're growing our pubes back, and that's it. And then I'm like, but there'll be one woman going, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna shave and get all the guys. Fuck you, girls. Like, you know, like.
I mean, and that's the thing, really.
That's what I thought was cool about Me Too. I thought Me Too was the way to unionize. I know I was being silly for a second,
but it has been happening
because it made it
like,
okay to come out and not be considered a victim. Like,
Well,
you
and
could
it
come out and be like, that guy said, I don't mean to cut you off. You could come out and be like, this guy's did this to me, and justice needs to be served, and people need to know about this guy so it doesn't happen to anyone else, and it's not okay, and time's up, and all that other good stuff. And that's why I was like, oh yeah, I really like this movement. And of course, with any big movement, there's going to be a couple people who do shit for their own benefit from it, and that's happened with everything.
Yeah, there's like
So
weird
it's not even. It'd
there's,
be
like, a
unfair
weird
to just be like,
bandwagon
"Here's the
type
problem with Me
of-
Too." It's not. That's not a problem with Me Too. That's a problem with human beings and life in general, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was
No,
just trying to
you
get
can.
to that point.
I mean, look. I'm a strong woman. I'll fight back. You can cut me off.
Technically, you were cutting me off actually because I was not finished.
Well, yeah, you were on
I
a you were on a
wasn't.
tear. But I'm not disagreeing with you, and I think that's.
Sorry, I threw a lot
No,
your
no,
way,
no.
but I'm not
It's
saying
okay.
I'm not trying to get you now to come out and be like, "Fuck that guy."
No, but I mean, he's dead now, and I think he died just in time because he was about to get blown up. But,
Jeez, man, that really makes you think who the fuck was it, right?
oh, yeah.
Well, we'll find out off air.
I'll tell you after.
You'll
I'll
tell me
tell you
off air.
later. Yeah.
Everyone listening is just gonna be like, "We're just gonna Google the shit of a bunch of comedians."
Yeah, don't worry. Don't
All
worry.
right.
You bought a T-shirt.
The
of
Aziz
his.
Ansari story though was interesting when it first broke. I think that was about a year ago, right around now. I think it was in January
About that?
28.
Yeah. Well, he's back. He's doing fine.
I know he's doing the
touring
Chicago
theaters
Theater
again.
coming up,
Yeah.
and he's touring a bunch. Yeah, exactly. I saw
So
that.
like, but I think in his case, like, I do get really really fucking frustrated with the fact that like CK's getting put on lineups. Here's the thing, my CK thing is like he's a fucking millionaire. He's a
He is, yeah,
millionaire.
multi.
So, can we just let him sit out for a few games?
So, would you have an objection to him renting his own theaters or doing door deals with different places? Is he setting up his own shows? Would you have a problem with that?
I think if he wants to do that, that's fine. Like that's
you just
you
want
as
to
an
not. You
independent
just want.
contractor.
You don't
Being
want
an
comedy
independent
clubs.
contractor,
putting up.
I don't want him to be doing drop-in sets at comedy clubs.
Okay.
As a person that purchases tickets, I do not want to buy a ticket and then find out there's someone that I don't want to see on the lineup.
Well, I told you that most of the audiences that have run into him, and by most I mean from what I've gathered, like 97% of people are super pumped to see
So
him.
many people are jazzed about it.
Like,
and
you know, the first one, there was
and that's
150 people there. They got
fine.
one complaint, and he got a standing O. And I've heard he's gotten standing O's almost every time.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm
What
not
did I
saying
say
it's right or
earlier?
wrong. I'm just,
What did I say earlier, though?
I'm
Direct
saying it
quote,
so that I
I
can get
said,
your opinion.
great fucking comic, terrible person.
yeah, you did say
He's
that.
a great comic. Of course he's going to fucking crush because he's one of the best comics of our generation. Like, here's one of the best comics of our generation. Like, if you're okay with a diarrhea that is, like, a punchline that's diarrhea. Like, his punchlines are like, my kids, diarrhea. My punchline, cum. Like, he's also a fucking idiot. It's
I
that
think he's a
it's
little
that
bit
he-
better than that with the writing.
Oh, please.
All right, I like it. That's
his
funny.
observation and his setup are great.
Diarrhea, my kids, come.
Like his
I want to see that.
his
comment. That's
observation
funny, yeah.
is great, and his like
His
ability to
philosophy.
string
That's
together
weird. That's
an
how we're going into this.
observation.
Talking about philosophy and comedy.
Yeah, like if
Comedians
you want to talk about
being
like if you want
philosophers.
he's not a philosopher, but like if you want to say that like he has a beautiful perspective of the universe, I would agree.
He does have some great observations. I
Right.
tell people, I'm
So
like,
the
look, Bill
problem
Cosby's a
is-
horrible piece of
who's
shit.
he
Still a
going
great
up after?
storyteller.
Somebody doing a weak ass 10 at the cellar because they're scared shitless? Probably because they fucking open for CK. My issue is like, don't put him up at a show if you're not going to advertise him being on that show.
I think they should advertise too.
That's my
Yes,
only
I would
argument.
agree 100%
My
with that.
only argument is that if you're going to put him up in any club, in any setting, advertise
You can't have someone that polarizing doing pop
him.
sets. I would agree
TJ
there.
Miller, Cosby, like all these
Well, Miller's doing
motherfuckers,
full weekends and that people are buying tickets well in
He's a
advance. He's not
scumbag, too.
popping up.
He's a permanent scumbag in my personal life.
I can't talk about TJ because I don't know. I know people. He's been bad to certain people and all this kind of stuff. But like, I'd prefer not to because I don't know all the details. And he's been good to me in the past. But like,
He
I don't.
kicked me out of a hotel room at 3:00 in the morning when I was blackout drunk because I wouldn't do coke with him, and I had to take a $60 cab home.
Okay, that's a bad move. That's a bad move.
He's a scumbag,
So yeah, that's okay.
and I'm okay with outing him as a scumbag because I don't.
Well, he's been outed.
he's
People have
somebody-
already.
It's been
He's
done.
somebody
He's
that I'm
been
like,
outed a million
he's somebody
times.
that I'm like and he also posted this like long like lethargic bullshit about how he's a good person, and I'm like, but you're not. Like, so I'm just my thing with any of these people. I'm not saying because I think takedown culture is really strange. I don't think that you should have to support anyone unknowingly. I think if you're buying a ticket to a show, you should pay for the lineup that you see, and if they do a drop-in, it should be a drop-in of someone who is maybe not in the news for raping people.
Yeah. Well,
And that's like a pretty
Louis didn't. To be fair, though, Louis didn't rape anyone.
No, but I think that if I was in a hotel room and
TJ was
someone
accused of that,
blocked the
though.
door and like
That's definitely sexual assault.
because I would feel in that moment, I think I would feel like
I thought the story was he didn't block the door. I thought he
He
just
did
started doing
one-
it, and then
I've
they
had one-
said
I've,
stop,
like,
and then he
I've been in from with comics where I've had multiple people defend this to me, but like he did one time and like not every time.
Okay, because I'm not defending him. I haven't defended him at
no.
all in this.
No,
The only
you're
time,
not.
the only times I've ever talked to Louis is being brought up every 4 or 5 podcasts. I feel because I'm
Well, 'cause
drinking with
it's-
comedians,
but
and you
it's
talk about the
frustrating.
shit you
It's
drink with
frustrating
comedians.
because he's like we miss his comedy.
I think the thing is that's really frustrating that people
I'm not
forget
gonna
is
ignore. I'm not gonna ignore that.
I think I look at it this way. Everyone keeps saying like, why is he back? He's back because he's a stand-up comedian, and that's what he's done his whole not his whole life, but from 18, he's in his 50s now.
He
So
was
started-
the stand-up.
he was the
comedian for
stand-up
years.
comedian, and
I
he
wouldn't
started
have
when he was
hated
18.
a little bit of a longer suspension.
No, I get that too,
Yeah,
and let me lay all
Little
this
red
out.
shirt situation.
Let me lay all this out. I thought he should have been gone. I thought he should have been like.
At least
He
a
should have
year.
self-imposed a much longer suspension. Yes, I agree, because it was not even a full year. It was like
Right.
9 months, 10 months later, he started coming back or making pop-ins.
Right.
So I don't think that's what's. Oh my God, well, he's back.
Can I get an
It makes
apology?
sense. I'm getting to some stuff here. The other thing that people are upset about is the clubs.
Yeah.
To me, that's comedy club owners. We know they do these things. They want asses in the seats, whatever sells money. That's not Louis coming back's not surprising. The club owners doing what they're doing is not surprising. Him not apologizing yet, not surprising, because I'm sure that's coming. By the way, I bet.
He's already talking
his
about it on
publicist
stage.
is writing
He's
a
starting
really
to,
good
at first he
one.
wasn't talking on stage. Now he's starting to talk about it. His next album, his next hour special will be called "I'm Sorry." But what again though? No one's even when you chimed in there, you didn't hit the biggest problem. The biggest problem is why are strangers that are at comedy shows jacked up to see him? What is that about? Now, why isn't anyone talking about
Joe,
that? If he announced real quick
People
though,
dragged a dude from Empire into the street in ski masks and beat him within an inch of his life.
okay, what does that have to do with anything I just
It
fucking
has to
said?
do with the fact that like people are still racist and people are still ignorant and people are still total scumbags.
So you're not surprised by that, but you're surprised that Louis came back early and the clubs are still booking him.
I'm
What?
not surprised by it.
But that's where I'm saying that's where the outrage needs to be.
No. Oh, it's where my outrage lies.
It doesn't seem to be as
100%.
much because you said, why is he back? Why are the clubs booking him? The number one why should be why are people standing
no.
and cheering for him? And why, when he announces his next tour, will it sell out in a day? You know it's going to.
It will. And my argument
Yeah.
is not. My argument is that like I don't think that he should be unlisted on a lineup. That's my argument. I want to see if you want to do a drop-in, like, let that drop-in be fucking Nikki Glazer. Great. You know what I mean? Like, let that drop-in be Chris Rock. Which even now is like, am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
Sure. Why?
But,
My new thing is this: have you murdered or raped anyone? No. Fine. Go on stage.
you can have a microphone.
Or
You are
beat
allowed to have a
someone.
microphone.
Obviously, there's other varying degrees of this. But what's Chris Rock's big thing? Oh, he doesn't like college audiences or thinks PC culture's running amok. So now I'm so sick and tired of everyone being like, this person's canceled now.
It is the weird
What's
thing
his
that got him from the Oscars, like the homophobic.
That was
thing
Kevin
about
Hart.
That. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you said Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well,
but so
you confused me
like,
on that one.
Oh, are you pulling up Brett Haas over there? Shit.
This is the article about people who would book Louis still.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is
I'm not going to say anything bad about
like,
Bert Haas. He just paid me for a week of comedy.
Yeah,
so.
Bert's a good guy.
My thing is just like they can come up and they can do their jokes and that's whatever. But like when you want to talk about the bigger issue of like why audiences are still excited, you are tapping into a very massive sociological deficit.
I think half the audience doesn't even really
Yeah,
know.
They're not woke. They don't care.
I think the average. See, that's another thing too. Like talking about elections and stuff, which we rarely get political on this because I find political conversations to be boring as fuck these past few years.
Yeah.
They are. You've heard them all 100 times before you take your first shit of the day.
Yeah.
Right? Log into Twitter once. You see all this. You were saying unoriginal people on social media regurgitating the same bullshit, not realizing that they're really just promoting Trump more than hating on him. All that kind of stuff.
Just
what no one ever
recycling
talks about.
op-eds.
People keep talking about the next. Oh, what do we got to do? What do we got to do? Trump won with less votes than Mitt Romney got.
Yeah. What was
He
was
won.
the worst attended election in history.
He won, but had less votes than the previous guy who ran under the same party. And
Can you guys argue if I use the restroom?
yeah, well, I wanted you
Yeah,
to
we'll
be
talk
part of
about
the
it.
argument. But go ahead.
I'm
No,
gonna
go ahead.
argue.
Go
No,
to
I'm
the
gonna
bathroom.
stay.
Go to the bathroom.
I'm
No,
gonna,
go to the bathroom.
I'm gonna pee on this folding chair.
No,
Do
go to
it.
the bathroom.
Keep
I
going.
got one more.
Yeah,
I got two more.
Yeah,
No, please go piss.
I'm gonna
people,
cycle through these folding chairs.
People get up to piss all the time on this podcast.
Oh,
I've had to get
good.
up to piss on this
I've had
podcast.
2 beers. I feel well.
And you drank before you got here too.
I did. I had 2 whiskey cocktails.
There you go. We're gonna talk so much shit about her while she's gone.
I can hear you.
You know she's racist, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
She's just projecting her own shit.
Yeah. You know, we see you.
Yeah, we
See ya.
definitely see you. So James, thank you. By the way, I was doing all my thank yous,
Yeah,
but
man.
guess who interrupted again?
Mm.
I didn't even get to James Webb. Everybody was he did the audio. He recorded the album. So when you hear it on iTunes one day, that'll be James's master work right there. Also, we filmed it,
We did.
multi-camera shoot,
Yeah.
and James was the director of that. So when you watch it,
It looks very good.
so hopefully you'll see it on some good platforms. If you'll definitely see it on all platform, we just don't know which one yet.
No.
And James is super talented, as you guys know.
Well, and shout out to Nelly Bob and Rodescu, two of the best camera people in
That's
the
what I was gonna
business.
say. I didn't really
Yeah.
get to meet the taller dude who was running the
Yeah.
one camera, and then Rodescu, I know he was running the other one.
Nelly Bob works with Drufke a lot out in the burbs.
Okay,
Really cool guy.
Matt Druffy's a comedian out in the suburbs of Chicago.
Yeah.
Produces some cool shows.
He
over
runs
there.
like the best suburb shows, right?
Yeah,
so
he
I've
does.
heard.
You know what? It's so funny to me. I have to do this every podcast where someone makes local references, and I have to remind people this is the fucking. I hope if
Yeah,
all
sorry,
my
Ireland.
no, we're not just Ireland, but I know where I have listeners, and here I'll give the shout out to the cities right now.
Yeah.
Because I want people to, Joe Rogan's podcast never would have gotten to where it was if he was just talking about shit that was going on in his fucking neighborhood.
That's true.
That wasn't a name toward you because you never really do it, James. But every time I have a comic on, they'll start talking about inside shit where I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, no one knows.
Oh
who
yeah, it was
fuck
on the red
you're-
line today.
You're talking about some
Yeah.
stupid open mic that no one knows. Like, stop doing that.
Yeah.
God damn it. Like, be more professional.
When's the last time you hit a mic? Do you still do mics?
I've been doing them a lot lately because I was trying to get ready for the album as much as possible, and now I got to write new stuff, so I'm gonna start hitting them again.
There you go.
No, I don't think anyone's too big for a mic. All right, here, other cities. These are the first couple are local, or Chicago, obviously, and then a couple suburbs. But Vegas, I got listeners.
And then she called him the N-word.
Again,
Can you believe
Chood is
that?
back, everybody. So look, I
Oh
got
my
Vegas.
God.
Hey, everyone in Vegas for listening. Thank you, appreciate it. Love you guys. Seattle, never been. Great city. From what I've heard, I like how I've never been. I say great city, but I'm dying to go there. That's like number one on my cities I need to go to next list. Oswego, which could be a suburb of Chicago, or in
It is. It's a farm
Yeah.
town.
but there's
We used to
also
play
one in
with
upstate
football.
New York.
Yep.
I'm talking about how I have comedians on this show a lot, and they'll do local references.
No.
They'll be like, "Hey, you know this guy?" And I'm like, "No one fucking. It's a podcast. It's not a
No.
local podcast." So I have Anchorage, Alaska. I'm performing actually in Anchorage at the end of March, so it's cool that there's some people
Oh, that's
listening up there.
cool. Do you do feature?
Troy, I think they already have some. I'm sorry. Cincinnati, St. Peter's, Lombard, LaGrange Park, Plainfield, Bridgeview, Orlando.
not
What's
where
up,
my
Orlando? Durham, North Carolina. Everyone listening right now is like, all right,
Take
say
your
my
shirt
city or
off,
don't.
Whip it like a helicopter.
Yeah, we got
Carolina.
Manhattan, El Paso, Texas, Elkhart, Indiana, which I'm actually doing a show just outside
Wow,
Elkhart
I
soon.
leave for
Cleveland,
1 minute.
LA,
You guys get real off the
Tipperary,
fucking rails.
Ireland. Good to see you. San Bruno and
I'm
Mountain
next
View,
to you.
California, and Cleveland as well. No, I was talking about because he just said, "Oh, he does stuff with Drufke," and I go, "People listening have no idea who Drufke is. No offense, Matt Drufke, they don't." And I just wanted to.
No one knows who any of us are.
Well, they know who I am if they're listening. I imagine they go, "Oh yeah, Joe, he's got this podcast
Except for
I'm
you,
currently
Joe.
hearing right now." Anyway, I was thanking James Webb for doing such a great job with the
He does a
album.
great job.
Me and him are going to get to work starting this Thursday. We're going to try to.
Yeah, man.
We're going to do. It's
We're
going to
gonna
be
crank
great.
this thing out.
We're going to crank this shit out. I'm excited about it.
James also makes omelets with chorizo and like 14 eggs.
James
There's one upstairs right now. You want some?
He's a Renaissance
There's
man.
chicken in it too.
Is there anything you
No.
can't do?
Yeah, you
I sewed those curtains.
you look at me. You're like, yeah, she needs protein. No,
You
not at all.
sewed
She
these
needs
curtains?
cardio.
Yeah.
You
All
didn't
right.
sew this shit. That's an unfinished edge, motherfucker. These are all unfinished
I didn't say I
edges.
sewed them well.
Yeah, thank you. You didn't.
I said I sewed
Could you
them.
sew? Are you a good sewer?
Yeah, have
'Cause
you
my,
met me?
my,
I
my
am
green olive
walking...
parker's got a
Seamstress,
rip on the side. Can you
Joe.
I can't.
seamstress it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Dude, I'm a walking Midwestern nightmare.
I know you know like
I'm like, oh, should I put this in a ball jar? Let's make a pie. Do you need me to sew something?
you
need
also.
a
I love that joke you
casserole?
have about how you know about like PVC pipe and all that other kind of stuff.
That's
'cause
also real. Today, my
don't know
first
that
thing I
shit.
had to do at work was go to Lowe's.
you had to go down there to the Lowe's, eh?
Go to Lowe's, and I was like walking around, and the guy goes, "I'm in the right aisle." He goes, he's like, also like dudes always try to fuck you at Lowe's, and you're like, Home Depot, Lowe's are like,
Machines,
"Can I help
sexy.
you? Can I help you?"
Some lot
And
of
you're
tools
like,
around. You know what I mean?
"Yeah."
It's-
You're like,
it's a
"No,
hot
I got
aisle.
it." And I was like walking around, and I was like looking, and I'm like in and out of aisles pretty quick. And he's like, "Did you?" I'm like, "I know zip ties are here somewhere." He goes, "They're on the end cap." I was like, "Right, I'm in the right aisle. Leave me alone." Like, I'm 14 feet away from.
Real
what
quick,
I
if
need.
you're a single man and you're thinking, I don't want to meet women at a bar, I don't want to do the whole Tinder thing, and you go to a hardware store like a Lowe's or a Home Depot, and you see a woman like yourself, you're like, all right, I like her. She's got a good look about her. It's a pretty girl right there. Ooh, she knows what she's doing, looking at the PVC pipe, looking for this, blah, blah, blah. And he starts hitting on you. Would you blame him for taking that shot? Chelsea, is that a
No,
bad move
I
on his
mean,
part?
no,
He's thinking this
I
is a
guess
woman
it's
who's a
probably
handy woman.
not.
That's like what I'm into. That's sexy. We could watch some Bob Vila together
I
and
think
finger on the
here's
couch.
what
It's
here's
all
what I
house,
think.
baby.
My thing is this: if you see me at a Home Depot, you don't need to ask me if I need help.
Oh, okay. So you were more. Maybe he didn't know how to break the
I
ice.
think-
maybe
yeah,
he wanted you to be
but
like, "Oh, I
maybe-
know what I'm doing," and he's like, "Fuck
But
yeah,
he
you
could
do."
be-
And he,
but then instead be like, "Oh, I like that you know about the bulk chain." You know what I mean?
do it that way.
Like, yeah, I'm getting that shit cut at
So it
3.5
is-
feet
it-
like I need it.
It is possible to pick up a woman at a
Oh,
store.
you can pick up a woman. Look, most of my friends and I
Isn't that how like
are
all of
so
our grandparents met
fucking
each other?
alone that like you can hit on us anywhere and we'll be like, he hit on me in a Culver's. Like, we're on fucking board. You just have
You
to
just have to
make
approach correctly.
the move in a good way that doesn't. It's not condescending.
I got you. You can't be like, "Yo, baby doll, you need to know where the lug wrenches,
Yo,
lug
you
nuts
need
are."
fucking help.
I said lug
I'm
wrenches.
like,
That shows how little I know
yeah,
about
I'm
hardware.
like, nah, dude. Yeah, lug wrench.
You need one of them. You
Christ.
need a
It's a
flat
lug
screwdriver or one with that aren't
It's a
flat.
Wrench, but
Phillips.
she's a regular wrench. Phillips is not a flathead.
I said you need a flat or the one that's not flat, and then I said a Phillips.
Oh.
Yeah, keep drinking.
You know what I just?
Keep
well,
drinking,
I was
Chelsea.
hanging out. I was
I
hanging out
love
with
saying
a
that
hot
to someone when they
carpenter.
mess up. Keep drinking.
I was
Sleep
hanging out
at
with a
night,
hot
kid.
carpenter last week, and I found out that the Phillips head was actually created.
Jeff
no.
Phillips.
Yeah, well, maybe his name was Jeff.
Yeah,
But
it
it's
was
made
Jeff
so
was
that
spelled
you
with a G,
don't,
so you're like, ugh, that guy.
It means that you don't sink your nail head too far, so that it'll like pop out. Because the problem that was happening with a flathead was that there was too much torque, and you ended up sinking it too far,
Yeah.
and potentially like going through the back end of the material.
That makes
And
sense.
so yeah,
Yeah.
the Phillips head was made to pop out if the torque got.
I
too
did a
tough.
great life hack that I saw on some social media website. That's where it's actually pretty good. That I actually got to put to use today. I was hanging up this framed Chris Bryant, Joe Madden signed picture.
Not surprising.
Yeah, adding more stuff to the Cubs basement. Pitchers and catchers report tomorrow, everybody. Very excited about that.
Oh, it's almost Spring Joe training.
Yeah, baby. You're going to start seeing me switch from parkas to Cubs jackets every spring this time of year. That's how it happens. I got
Yeah,
parka
Joe
season,
doesn't wear
Cub jacket
Cubs
season.
stuff for about 36 days. Everybody.
Yeah, pretty much. When was the last time you saw me wear something Cubs? Well, I wear like Cubs t-shirts during the week.
so a lot.
But not like fashionably out in public. The move is you got your spot where you want to hang a picture. Everyone, if you're listening, you could visualize this, and you hammer in the nails in there. You take a fork, you put the fork like hang it like on the standing upright. Then when it's like a heavy picture that has like the string on the back, not string, but like wire hang.
Twine.
Yeah, twine or the fuck it's called. Then you hang it off down. You go down the fork to get to the nail, and then you remove the fork. Boom, it's hanging.
I don't hate
so
that.
badass.
That's pretty good.
It's a pretty good.
I don't
one.
hate that. That's good.
dope.
I thought you were gonna be doing some like weird dude Pinterest shit over there, but I feel pretty good
No,
about
but
that.
I just saw it on someone shared it on something, Facebook or Twitter, and I remember going,
Pinterest?
"Ooh, I'm gonna
Just
do that."
tell everybody you got a
because when
Pinterest
you're
account.
hanging something, you're like, I don't have a Pinterest. I don't believe I do.
Joe's got a Pinterest account.
I
You
might
can
have an
follow
account,
it,
but I don't go on it. I don't
Kilgallon
check my phone right now.
/ wedding.
Look for. Do you see a Pinterest app? Check my phone right now. There's no Pinterest app.
Yeah, you do that shit on your fucking desktop.
All right, now that Chelsea's back from taking a hefty dump, which by the
I
way, you
did.
could have flushed. We smell it from here. Real gross.
Okay,
Okay,
you're welcome.
that's where you got
Yeah.
the nickname Chood because that's what it smells
I ate
like.
a lot of chorizo.
Oh, no. You want some more? I got some.
It's gross. Stop it. Actually, I had Mexican food for dinner. It's delicious.
Oh yeah, wait. What's your go-to Mexican order?
I don't. Well, my order. What
Yeah.
I order? Oh, I vary
Just real
it.
quick.
I'm not fancy. I get taco plate. I get
Taco
Oh,
dinner.
taco.
Yeah,
Beans
taco
and
dinner.
rice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You steak taco guy.
Steak. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an asada guy.
Carne asada. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And then if I get a burrito
You
every now and then,
cilantro
I'll get.
onion. You lettuce tomato.
I don't care.
Oh.
Not tomato. I don't do tomato. But I could do. If whatever their standard is, like in LA, cilantro is like standard and everything, but they don't have cheese standard, which annoys me. Or Midwest, it's a Midwest thing. You put cheese on everything.
Yo, I had some real tacos on the south side. Okay, like I know that we're not totally local, but if you are eating tacos, you speak Spanish, go down to Blue Island in Damon.
That's far down
They
there.
do like a corn tortilla with a slice of American cheese in between another corn tortilla, and they put a taco in the middle of it.
That sounds
you
pretty
serious?
good.
It's like a fat kid quesadilla.
That sounds amazing.
Taco, and you can pick cilantro, onion, or
You're
tomato.
not quite in the mic there, James. So it's annoying me.
Like
Thank
you can pick you can like choose if you want to do like full on like gringa style like lettuce, tomato, whatever,
Yes.
or you can go onion, cilantro. But either way, it's like American cheese in between two corn tortillas at Raymond's, and it's so fucking
That sounds
good.
fucking.
Place is
dope.
called Raymond's.
Yeah, it's real fucking good.
Normally, I would never think a place called Raymond's was good
I
Mexican
know.
food. So it's
Raimundo.
deceiving. There you go.
Mm.
All right. So I like that. I like where you're going with that. Damn, we keep getting into a
I-
big
you
thing
mean I keep
and then a
derailing
little
you?
detail. You keep doing it like me. I think you've always done it like me, actually. I'm just polite enough to say sorry for interrupting. You're not.
No, I will not apologize. Okay, but because I like to bring it
Real
back.
quick though, but you've interrupted several times. You haven't apologized once. Why don't you like apologizing for interrupting? You just don't believe in
I
it.
just feel like it's banter, but I also feel like
It
you're
is
a
banter,
steamroller.
but I feel like I
You
have
get-
to steamroll
well,
though
because
because
you get
I get
real
7 words in and then you interrupt.
No, you get like hell bent on the thing, and you want to like I see you. You want to like put it like it's a fucking stand up post-it note, and you want to be like, here's the main topic, here are the subtopics that I would like to discuss, and then I would like you to respond in a fully formed answer.
I wanted you to respond in a way that makes sense and makes us both look good by the end of it.
Well, I mean, I look great all the time.
You
You're
look
great.
great all the time. No, I'm not mad at you, but I've noticed a few times. I remember if you listen to the playback, there's going to be a good 3 minutes where you're just talking, and then when it was my turn to talk, I started to talk, and then you
Just on the rape
interrupted.
stuff.
Which, yes, of course, I'm not going to interrupt your horrible story that you have a terrible ordeal, which again I'm so sorry you had to go through. But I remember when I followed
was
up
so
by
political.
saying I was trying to. Well, I am sorry. That's friend to friend, Chelsea. That's not me being like, oh, I'm worried how people are going to interpret Joe's reaction to some horrible shit. But my point was that like I tried to be like, all right, here's the notice I have with the Louis C.K. thing. There's this. Every time I'm like, there's this, then you go, what the? And I'm like, well, and you know what I mean? I'm not giving you shit. I'm just saying.
Now I'm standing down. I'm letting you get it out.
All right, fuck, man.
Oh,
This, by the
and
way,
it
this
takes
is
it
the worst
personally.
podcast we've done in a long time.
Hey, come on, that's pretty good.
No, I think you've been bad. I've been bad. Chelsea's been pretty good.
Hey, come on.
No, Chelsea's been good. I think
killing
I have not been nearly as good as I normally am.
I would love for
I
you
put
to
too
go
much
into what you
energy
wanna
into the.
say.
I put too much energy into the album that I had a bad feeling this podcast was going to suck this week, no matter who was on it. It's not your fault.
Joey.
No, it's been a bad podcast. You can admit that. I think it's okay to admit
Joe
that.
thinks he's getting
I
interrupted
think
a
we
lot.
should.
He's,
I
like,
think
all
we got into
upset.
some real ass shit tonight.
It's been
Yeah,
okay.
well, that's
Well, I've
hanging
tried
out
to get
with
into
me.
this 100 times. I was going to say, and you brought it up where you gave the woman a hard time. Not the woman a hard time, but you said with the whole Aziz story,
Yeah.
right? You said, well, that woman could have done this and this. And I was going to say what was interesting about that was the first story in the Me Too era in which I saw half the women I knew were like, fuck her,
Yeah.
and the other half were like, fuck him.
Yeah.
You know,
It was pretty crazy.
it was. So I remember going like, "Oh, this
That's
is
all you had to
interesting.
say.
This is." I tried to 4,000 times, and I was gonna say just like that, and then things kept getting interrupted.
That clap was James and I high-fiving.
Yeah.
'Cause Joe gets
Well,
so
James wants to
fired
be like
up.
James is a Rogan fan. I like Rogan a
Yeah.
lot too.
Joe loves to be loved.
And James wants to be like young
James loves to be
Jamie.
loved.
But young Jamie does not give his opinion nearly as much as James does. But James has got good opinions, so I like him.
Thanks, bud.
No, I didn't bring that up as like a bad thing, but I
think
just
that's a
realized
good
that you're more of
observation,
a,
though.
about James. No, he's a good
No,
observer.
about you. About like say like your observation of like this is the first time in this where your female friends are like, what the fuck's going on with this?
Yes, and my one friend had a great take on it where she said, "Listen, there needs to be some personal responsibility to a lot of what's going on here." Okay, because
agree.
that was part of her addressing the victimization of things,
Mm-hmm.
where we're so quick to be like, "Don't blame the victim," or what you were talking about earlier. You don't want to appear like a victim because you don't want to be. You didn't want to
Right.
get notoriety for taking down someone because you're a
Right.
comedian. You want to get notoriety for that, right? I get that.
100%.
Like Hannibal was already famous when he brought down Cosby.
Yeah.
Different scenario. You know, I always think about that stuff like that too, where I was talking to a friend of mine about how I had a dream that I prevented like a couple women from getting assaulted. And
Oh, you have those too, huh?
it was outside. It was the dream. It happened in Lincoln Park, and it looked like the block. You ever have a dream where you're like, I know this block, but it's not this block?
Yeah, it's like some weird like Lincoln Park West shit where you're like, yeah, I know this vibe. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so-
it's like not the actual street.
Yeah, I was coming from a show, and I saw something going down in an alley, and I know the alley because I park by the alley when I go to the drop.
Yeah.
That bar in
The one
Lincoln.
with the-
Yeah.
Yo,
with the
it's the
circle?
Lincoln
Yeah,
Park
kinda near
West.
there.
It's the Lincoln Park West cul-de-sac alley by
Yes,
Ronaldo's.
yes,
Yeah,
right there. You know
dude,
exactly what I'm
I
talking
used
about.
to live in the Lincoln Park West building. Long story.
You did? So did
I had a
dude.
rich roommate.
Cool. And so I remember in the dream, people were like, "Oh, this is gonna blow you up." And I remember like waking up going, "I don't want to get famous from that. I don't want people to be like, oh,
Dude, that's the point.
this
though.
comedian's famous because he's well. Obviously, it'd be cool. Like if I was a regular person, I'd be like, yeah, throw me a parade. I just saved some people. But you don't want to, because then people later, I know how comedians are. People later will be like, dude, he only got that because of that. I mean, yeah, good for him. He did the right thing. I just can see comics talking shit, being like,
Yeah.
but he didn't deserve that HBO special he got for saving someone from getting killed or raped or whatever, you know. So, so I get what you're saying with that. I do think though. What kills me is there are some people who take. There just needs to be some responsibility, depending on the situation, obviously. In that situation, he asked her to suck his dick, and she did it again.
Right, and that's where I'm like,
And that's why I was like,
Hey,
of course he was
bitch,
trying to fuck you. He
get
thought
your
that was on the
bag
menu.
and go.
Yeah.
But if he wasn't famous, she probably would have left.
Yeah.
And here's the difference. I don't even like Aziz Ansari's stand-up. Don't like it
it's
at
not
all.
accurate.
Well,
His acting's pretty good. But I don't. I
I have
haven't
a
seen.
lot of
I haven't seen
opinions
Master
there.
of None. I haven't seen Master of None at all. But no, as a
Very good.
stand-up comedy, as a stand-up comedian and a fan of comedy, I don't like Aziz Ansari's comedy. From what I've seen of it, I've seen
mean-
maybe 45 minutes total. And it's not. It doesn't done it for me.
yeah, and as a girl who's been in a room with a dude that's like below me, and I'm like, fuck off. You leave. You just leave. So
I'm always
there's-
interested in those cases.
I would
though.
love to talk to her psychiatrist, is what I would love. Psychologist. I would love to. I mean, I'm not saying she's on drugs, but I'm saying I would love to talk to. And, like, here's the thing I have a great therapist. I'm very grateful for her. Everybody should go see her. If you want to see her, you can reach out to me separately, and I'll give you her info. She's great. But my thing with, like, the personal responsibility is the thing. Right? Like, it's, if you're going to be a victim, like, I need you to be a victim. Because this shit is hard as fuck. I've been doing it for 10 years. I have lost friendships, relationships. I missed out on a lot of stuff with my family to do stand-up.
Yeah.
And to pursue it in arenas, New York and Chicago, that, like, I was in New York for 5 years. I saw my family once a year, maybe, sometimes twice. And I lived on fucking beans. I had nothing. So if you're going to live in New York City and fight for your fucking life, or you're going to live in LA, you're going to sleep in your car, and then somebody's going to come along after you have any notoriety and be like, I'm just going to take that. it's like, well, then I hope they did you real fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Because it took a lot for them to get there. And I'm not saying that toxic masculinity isn't a thing. I'm not saying that, like, people don't get raped. Like, been there. But my point is, choose who you take down because you feel afraid and you feel victimized and you feel like the thing that they did was completely fucking unacceptable. But if you wake up and you're like, I want to write an op-ed.
Yeah.
That's where I lose it. I think even in the CK situation where, like, people are like, oh, well, he didn't rape them. It's like, I think people are underestimating the fear that happened in that scenario. First of all, fear of lack of career after that moment. Right? Like, to out him meant, like, they wouldn't have anything because he was who he was. But the fear of a man standing between you and a doorway as a woman is pretty fucking real.
Oh, I bet.
He's also like a big dude.
Is he?
I've met him. Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's walked by me once.
I mean, he's like
6'4", right?
No,
he's like,
not
I mean, he's
6'4".
probably
Maybe
about. I was gonna say
5'11".
5'11". I was gonna say
What?
about 5'11".
Yeah.
It's like really tall.
No.
No, he's probably between 5'11" and 6'2". I bet.
He probably weighs
You
about
could ask
215,
Whiskey Pete.
220, though.
Right, but that's the thing is, like, he could throw his fucking weight around if he wanted to, and like
Like big shoulders.
to be in
you
a
know?
situation where, like, and also when someone starts jerking off in front of you, you're not like, they're probably just gonna come on the hotel carpet and be done with it. Like, he's getting his dick hard to rape you in that moment is what you're thinking.
Yeah. Wasn't it multiple women the first few times, or was it always one woman?
Dude, I mean, Rebecca Corey for sure, but, like, then multiple.
I
mean,
thought hers was just
more
a
than
phone
that.
call. One of them was just a phone call, right?
Yeah, where he
Oh.
was jerking it like on the phone.
On the phone.
And didn't tell her.
Because that was Chappelle's joke.
Yeah.
Which I don't care who got upset about that. That's a funny joke. Bitch, hang up. I'm sorry. That's fucking hilarious.
I mean, the joke's
You got to
funny,
find some humor in
For
some
sure.
like horrible shit here or there.
But
Especially-
Yeah, people can, like, joke about Chernobyl and then, like, get pissed about a CK rape
Yeah.
joke. I mean, you can, but, like, I just.
I'm not making fun of the victim. I'm making fun of the act of the phone thing.
Dude, yes.
Like if
get
I knew
you.
her name, I wouldn't
So
make.
you're-
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look, I'm making way more enemies on this podcast than you are. Don't worry about it.
I don't think you are. But that's the thing. Like you said earlier, the important thing is to have the conversation. So if we're having the conversation, there should be no enemies. There should be, right? You're having the
it's- well,
conversation.
it's in seek of, like,
point.
awareness.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It used to be about intent. What was your intent?
Yeah.
You know, I was on Nick Vatterott. Was a great comedian. Everyone look him up.
I love
Podcast
Nick.
out of New York years ago.
Dude, he's one of
And
the
we
funniest
talked
people if you don't know him.
easily. We talked about. He writes for Bill Maher's show, and he's got his own Comedy Central half hour and done some other stuff. His Conan was one of the funniest Conans of all time. Anyway, though, we talked about it used to be like intent. Did that person intend to be offensive, or did they just fucking slip up and say something stupid? Yeah. At the time I was on his podcast, the whole Seinfeld thing came out where he said people were like, "You need more." Women and people of color on your show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, which to me was hilarious because I'm like, they're acting like that's a booked show. They're acting like that's a show. Because
Like
to
it's
me,
not just his friends.
to me, I'm like, this was clearly a show that was on Crackle when it first started, and it was obviously just him picking up his buddies to go coffee and talk some shit. What? This wasn't like now. Obviously, it's gotten bigger and it's on Netflix, and now he's actually because of it.
If you
But
want
they-
on YouTube, you get to do whatever the fuck you want.
They
That's
got
what-
their
it's
way
YouTube.
though. I know they got their way though because now he's bringing on people he doesn't even know that he just heard is the really good comic.
Yeah.
You know, because I've heard they're like, oh yeah, he didn't know that person that well.
How
so
are the
we had him on.
episodes? Are they
Not
good?
as good as the one with the friends. With the friends, there's
that's,
more of
and
a.
that's like my thing is like
when
his,
the one with
his
Mulaney on kind
banter-
of sucked. And
Yeah.
Mulaney's hilarious. Don't get me wrong, but like they just you could tell they weren't old buddies. Like when he had Sarah Silverman on, he's known her for 20 years.
There's
and when
times,
he had-
there's times where it doesn't
Chris
feel
Rock.
natural, and but I mean also like
But his point
don't
was,
underestimate that he's like trying to make that a business. But yeah, Vatterott's
I
point.
mean, maybe, but Seinfeld already has all the money in the world. I remember.
No, but right, like it's Netflix trying to make a business.
Oh, it's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So I
But
mean, I think
I'm
now
more
it's gotten
interested
big
in
enough.
Vatterott's point.
Well, Vatterott's point was along those lines because we talked about it was the Seinfeld thing was going on at the time, and Seinfeld said, "I don't care about like your background. I just want funny." And they took that as to be like, "Oh, Jerry Seinfeld doesn't care about black people." Where it's like, "Wait, what? Where the fuck did you get that?" And Vatterott's point was just like the offense where offense was meant to be intended. And he talked about how he used to work at Ed DeBevick's, in downtown Chicago,
shit.
where at Debevix, everyone, if you're not familiar listening around the country, it's one of those restaurants where the servers are rude to you. That's what's fun. You'll say to the waiter, "Hey, can I have a Coke?" They'll say, "Hey, eat my ass," and just keep walking. But then they'll show up with the Coke later.
Which also, thank God ass eating has become more mainstream.
It really is. That is such a mainstream topic right now, especially with the 20-somethings. They love the butt stuff.
Thank you, James.
And so he talked about one time saying to a table, "So how we doing today, guys? And what can I get you guys?" I think it was like, "What can I get you guys?" And someone's like, "Are we all guys at this table?" And it's like, what can I get you people? I don't know. Like, it's an express. Like, was I trying to fucking give you shit? It was a woman. You know what I mean? A regular woman. It wasn't like, "Oh, trans, sorry, my bad." It was a woman. And she was just like, I didn't realize that we were all men at this table. Like one of those. And it's just like, how good is your life where that upsets you? To me, that means your life is great.
Yeah, no, or your shit is super boring.
Mark Geary was talking. Mark Geary, who produces the Lincoln Lodge. I don't know if you'd care if I quoted him. He's an Englishman like your father. I was talking to him. This was actually after the Super Bowl, where he said that the liberals here to me are hilarious. He was saying because all their complaints are just stuff where it's just like it's not that big a deal. It's not like that doesn't really matter. Or he said the liberals in Europe are all like, people are starving over here. Can we do something about that? Like all their complaints are like real problems. Where don't get me wrong, liberals are complaining about real stuff here too, but majority of their complaints are stuff like Liam Neeson had a thought that is a bad thought. He didn't act on the thought, but it was a bad thought, and he voluntarily told people about his bad thought. And now he should never be in movies ever again, despite the fact that it's a miracle that he's a 66-year-old action star. People realize that about Liam Neeson. I talked about this last week on the podcast briefly. I'm not sticking up for Liam Neeson, but I do think that
I'll stick up for Liam Neeson.
Fine, I'll stick up for him too.
He told this story as a lesson to people, like, hey, A, you can change, and B, like, I regret what I did. Like, people want to just look at, oh, he did that thing.
People
and
want to take a quote.
Yeah, he didn't actually do it.
That's the core of outrage culture, dude.
Yeah, no, you're right.
This socially puritanical bullshit that all of our parents' from the right implemented on society like 50 years ago, and now the left is doing the same shit.
I remember in the late 90s,
thing.
remember in the early 2000s, late 90s, it was conservative groups who wanted to get rid of Amber Crown because they thought their ads were too sexy.
Yeah.
It was like, you know what I mean? And now it's like the left and the far left and the far right have gotten so far off the bend as far as their views on culture, because obviously not politically, economically speaking, because they're still very different there.
We're talking horseshoe theory.
But as far, they're both like,
they just came back around to the same basic principle of Puritanism.
Yeah.
And it's fucking, frankly, it's
the
annoying.
far right, we're for free speech, except for kneeling during the national anthem. The far left, we're for free speech as long as it's everything we agree with.
Yeah.
Right? So they're both so full of shit, and they're not. That's why I say, like, if there was a moderate Republican, I'd be like, yeah, I could probably vote for you. If I could be cool. I mean, I disagree with a lot of stuff, but I could at least get along with you.
Quote unquote fiscally conservative.
Sure. Yeah. Which does that even exist anymore? I remember joking with someone once saying I would love to meet someone who was like,
I'm Cory Booker.
I'm fiscally. Oh yeah. I would like someone to say something like, I'm fiscally liberal but socially conservative, because you've never heard that one. It's always the other way. They're always like, I'm fiscally conservative, socially liberal, meaning I'm cool with whatever, just don't tax me. I would like someone to be like the other way around. It's like, tax me all you want, but don't let them gays have any fun. Like, I kind of like, I'll be happy to have money to pay for, school lunches, but if that money's going towards...
I can't even laugh like with my whole heart, because I feel like that's like coming.
Someone who's like that?
Yes.
I think that's why I really don't get into politics too much anymore, because it's boring. I'm just waiting for the tide to roll over, it to all go away. And I know someone's going to say to me, well, that's your white privilege because you don't have to care like the way the rest of us do. And then, you know what? Fine, good, it is. Because if I didn't use the privilege every now and then, I'd be the bigger asshole. Calvin Evans has a great joke about that. He's like, of course they're using the white privilege. Why wouldn't you use that? If I were white, I'd use that shit too. Like, why not?
Well, but also like to that point,
it's
like
funny.
you should have. Calvin and you would have a fucking podcast.
I like Calvin. He's a good dude. Me and you were having a podcast too. I love you. I'm
sorry
what I said earlier.
I'm not mad.
It wasn't you.
I stood down for like 10 minutes. You feel that?
It was all me.
No,
wear sleeves next time.
It
James.
Also, please don't. I'm loving it. I like to objectify men. He leans back with his fucking. Oh, did you want to see my biceps? No problem.
I thought you were showing off that armpit hair.
It was arm day, so.
Sorry, I got you off track.
No,
a little
no,
bit
no.
there.
I just think
I got it right.
that's like it's a thing, right? Like we have this white privilege, but I'm also kind of I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like I'm sorry that I've gotten every job I've applied for.
Yeah. I haven't gotten every job I've applied for.
I mean I'm charming.
But you still have
But
applied
it's
for the
that.
jobs though. There are people who complain about stuff that they don't even apply for. That's what kills me right now.
I just
like,
I think it's just such a weird time. It's a weird time where there's like so much. The white guilt is so real. For me, it for sure is. And I think that a lot of that came from living in New York and living in a community that was all black and all of my neighbors were black and I was not welcome.
I just want this. That's natural though. Don't even think that's weird.
No, it wasn't
because
weird. It was
when they came into white neighborhoods, they got treated the same way, and that's how it always was.
100%.
That's like that's history of everything. I want to be clear to anyone listening right now. Before people knew other races existed, there was death, violence, and all sorts of shit like that. There was.
I like to fight each other.
No, every now and then you'll hear some fucking moron acting like, there's violence because of all the different race people that hate each other and all that. What? The English and French were at war with each other for 1,000 fucking years. Yeah. They had a thing called the 100 Years' War. Is there really that big a difference with them cosmetically? No, different languages, sure. There are tribes.
I know, Frenchmen are way hotter, though.
And you can say that as an English woman.
Je parle un peu de français. I do love French.
Je m'appelle Joseph. Je te salue Marie. That's the start of the Hail Mary.
He knows 4 sentences.
I know a prayer. I know a prayer. That's it. I know a prayer. My name is. I know merde is like no merci is thank you, but merde is like shit or something like that. I think.
Merde.
Anyway, merde is shit, right?
Merde.
Anyhow, of course, Rich Boy knows French.
Told you I grew up rich, not cultured, dog.
Fuck with you, dude. Come on, man. This is a fun callback. So, but like there are tribes in the deepest parts of South America and Africa that have been in war forever. And they look the same. And my thing is tribalism will always be there. Yeah. People will always find a way to fucking fight each other. They'll always. I don't want them to, but they'll always be there.
Well, it's psychology.
It is, but like when people are like,
nobody's dad loves them enough.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, really though. Everyone's out there just trying to fucking
impress daddy.
It's mommy issues too. Come on,
yeah, but
that's
what I'm saying. Like everybody's just out there trying to be something that their family is proud of because they feel like their family's made all these sacrifices.
Pride,
right?
Proud. I'm glad you used the word
pride,
proud.
And you're
Pride's
like,
a sin. Every religion recognizes it as a sin, but everyone always says, "I got pride in this." It's like,
yeah, and
Christian pride is a fucking
right?
oxymoron.
It's like your family came here and they thought they were gonna be something. And they fucked up.
Yeah. So
now they put it on you, and you're like, "Well, you fucked up. Now I gotta be something. What the fuck is this?" And it's toxic.
I think because we have so much information now that we get, like just bogged down with it. Like the weight of it is exhausting. Like it used. I remember reading in history books or hearing in history classes when I was like in grade school that this wave of immigrants came over. Everyone was really shitty and mean to them. Then this wave of immigrants came over. Everyone was really shitty and mean to them.
Yeah, they all had to change their names.
And that's how it's going.
That's how
it's going, right?
Houses.
But nowadays, because we're so connected, everyone is so damn. I'm saying this on a podcast for God's sake. That's how connected we are. I'm probably in your earbuds right now, everyone. Chelsea's gonna do a real cool vibrating sound to make your neck here go up. That was like a real bass.
I wasn't ready.
What's up? I'm just messing with you. I don't want to creep anyone out. Someone's on the
L
right now, taking their headphones off, going, "God damn it, Joe, that was gross." Do not do that. You did that. Camera one. That was a sexy scene in Wayne's World, right? Because that Tia, whatever her name is.
Scenes in Wayne's World are sexy.
That's the. I wish you said that better into the microphone. All the scenes in Wayne's World are sexy.
All the scenes in Wayne's World are sexy.
Wayne's World 1 and Wayne's World 2, everyone's sexy flicks. There's just so much. We're just so damn connected that now. So say. Well, probably not in the next year or two, but say in 5 years from now, there's a new wave of immigrants coming, which has been kind of on track with everything in America. That new wave is going to get some shit, but we're so connected that people are going to stop them from getting shit. They're going to be like, do not give them shit. We've learned that we don't give immigrants shit anymore. I'm not saying you should.
Oh my God,
I'm not saying you should, by the way.
This is so charming and cute.
I'm not saying we should give them shit.
You think we're going to be better people in 5 years?
I think we're going to be. No, yeah, we are actually. I think we've already been better people. This is the best time to be alive in the history of the planet. It's a fact.
I
100% a fact.
okay, but we're
Name
not
a better time.
better.
Arguable.
It's not even yeah, it's not.
But we're not better.
In what
In
regard?
what
are we not
regard?
better?
We're
We're
not
trying to
better.
build a fucking wall.
Okay.
By the way, there's already a wall through parts
people,
of the thing.
people used to.
There's already there's already
burn
walls on
people
stretch
in
of
the
it.
streets for being witches. Building
Yeah.
a wall
Yeah.
isn't better than that.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, but
we've
like,
always been
but people
bad.
of color are being like literally
There was a
dude.
wall up until 1989. And we
People
tore
of
that
color
down.
were
2
hung from
weeks
trees
ago.
200 years
Yeah.
ago.
Right, and 2 weeks ago,
I know, downtown Chicago, that thing
a
happened.
guy from downtown
Which, by the way, you know what's
Chicago
funny about that?
who's
Half my black
in
friends
the
think that's a made-up
cast
story.
of Empire.
They did. You saw that on Facebook, right?
Dudes are rocking
Half
ski
my black
masks
friends think that guy's lying.
and dragging a dude into the street.
Oh, I'm not saying it
I know, but
doesn't
can you
still
acknowledge?
happen,
Can you?
but it's
What do you
not
think? Do you
the
think it really
norm.
happened?
I think that based on the way that I've seen, like toxic masculinity, like rage its head. I don't know.
I don't know.
Like,
but
I just
I mean, like,
think, yeah, I think it probably fucking happened.
I'm
I
just
think
saying,
that
but half the black friends are
I think
women, so I don't.
how
they
many
don't even believe it.
times?
I
How
believe
many
it
times
happened.
do I
I
have to
doubt
watch a
someone. I
dude
doubt.
get shot
I
on a
don't-
cop chest cam.
But
Like,
you act like that's new. We just have evidence of it now.
this is my point. You're saying
And you-
we've come so far.
We have
I'm
come so
arguing that
far.
we have not.
No, Chelsea, I'll give you another example here. Police, citizens, civilians getting killed by police.
No.
The last couple years, all-time lows.
Yeah.
Every year, the last 10 years,
'Cause
lower,
they're
lower, lower.
Fucking
And it
web
go-
streamed.
Exactly.
Isn't that progress?
But isn't that progress? You said things haven't gotten better, and I'm telling you for a fact they have. And on the other side of things, listening, cops have been killed at the least amount ever, too.
Yeah.
In 2018, the least amount of cops were killed, and the least amount of civilians were killed by cops in that year. That should be something we should be celebrating, but we're not. Because, look, I don't get me wrong.
want to celebrate
One death
it, but
is
I
too
can't
many
celebrate it when
on both
kids
sides.
in MAGA hats are getting invited to the White
Can I,
House.
can I
get
make
it.
one
After
small point?
screaming in the rain.
No, I get that. I get that.
Can I make one small point? So I don't disagree. I don't think anyone in here disagrees that, people getting attacked for being a certain race is bad. Like, that's clearly bad.
Of course, it's horrible.
But the difference between the 2 weeks ago incident and the 1800s when people were getting hung by trees is that that's not the norm anymore. People now get extremely upset when something like this happens in public all the time.
And they should, yeah.
It is
Upset
no,
such an
and they
understatement,
march
but yeah.
and they organize and they make.
And the difference is they're
communities
allowed to
aware of
march and
things.
organize now, which
That-
thank God, that's great.
It's fair. It's
That,
different than the
that
bridge.
did not used to happen. Now we
Yeah.
are in a place where society is coalescing around a more progressive norm. That's the progress we should be looking at. Yes, these things are still going to happen. They're
Yeah,
always
look.
going to happen.
Right, but I'm saying like
I'm
it
saying
took
we're
200
better- yeah.
years. It took 200 fucking years.
Yeah.
For us to get to a point where we're like even upset about it. I'm just saying like I am fully. It took me living in an all black neighborhood to recognize how much privilege I have and how much that affects my day to day. That's it. That said, I do think it's better.
40 years ago,
I
you
don't
wouldn't
think
even recognize your privilege.
100%.
So
I would
that's
not have.
what I'm saying. Well, I'm
Things
saying
are
things
getting
are better.
better.
They're not great. They're better. That's the point.
I guess my point is that I don't disagree with you. I just think it's still shitty.
Sure,
You
progress
could say
is
that.
slow and
Progress
harder.
is slow, yeah. My point is that, so when I made the reference to the next wave of immigrants when they come, and hopefully they, are treated better, because I'm not saying that, obviously the ones in the Passion have been treated so bad, but they'll get shit, and that's okay, because that's almost like an initiation process. Oh, the new kid always gets some shit.
This is some
And then
frat
eventually they're
boy shit
cool.
right here.
I think it makes you tougher. I think if all of a sudden, if the next wave comes in and everyone's just like red carpet kissing their ass and all that kind of stuff, I think, every great immigrant
right,
story.
But like, I would love for us to be like, welcome to America, but it's not how we are. I mean, I'm the daughter of an immigrant. I know that even
But
as
you
like,
know things
I had
are getting better.
white dude, English speaking dad.
Would you rather be an immigrant?
still
into,
got
I'm not
shit
going to use.
on.
I'm not going to use these last few years because things have gotten crazy. But would you rather be an immigrant coming to America in 2014 or an immigrant coming to America in 1921? I think that's fairly
it's
obvious.
a fucking no-brainer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if Twitter was around when Irish Need Not Apply was a
Fuck
thing, I think that would have
Twitter.
ended it quicker.
Yeah.
No, fuck Twitter, but I think it would have ended it a little quicker.
Yeah.
So right now, bad things happen, but things are getting rectified quicker.
Yeah. People be hashtagging on Insta.
Yeah.
Social justice.
But obviously, I'm saying there's still evil out there. There's still bad people. There's still racism. There's still sexism, all that kind of horrible shit, homophobia, all that. But it's still better and getting better every day than it was. And that's my thing. And my worry right now, though, is that there are people who are enraged who want equality, but what they really want is they want revenge. And I don't blame them for that. If I were in their situation, I would want revenge too.
I would want to right all my wrongs for sure.
Yeah, I would want that too. I get it from their point of view. But I think the left is taking a bad approach with this whole all men, all white people ideology, because I'm like, wait a minute. I used to correct people when they said all Muslims and all like all black people are gangbangers, all Muslims are terrorists. I would correct people for that because that was like that. You're painting with a broad brush. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Not all cops are bad people either, guys.
Yeah.
So when you go around saying all men are evil and all cops are pieces of shit and all white people are bad, then I'm like, that's not progress.
Yeah, you're making enemies.
You're making enemies, and and even if you're not making like enemies, you're taking people out of the process because it's turning people off. Yeah. The biggest problem with the last election, because that's what I was trying to get at with Mitt Romney getting more votes than Trump. He lost, but still got more votes than the guy who won because obviously electoral college had to play. Yeah. It was people who sat home. You're not going to change the MAGA people. They're not. You think you could sit down some asshole with a red hat and be like, "Here's why you should vote for him"? Yeah, it's a waste of time. But what you can do is reach out to the average Joe who fucking sat at home on November 8th that year.
Yeah, the dude that was smoking weed, eating tricks.
Yeah, you could explain to him, "Hey man, here's why it's important you get out." And I know you're thinking, "Hey man, I smoke weed and eat tricks."
I don't hate that.
Dude,
I love that.
Liberals want a future where weed's completely legal. Ooh, I'm listening now. Trump's against legalization for weed. You hear that, guys? Donald Trump does not want weed to be legal. Fuck him, right? So if you're a pothead who stayed at home, get your ass out there. You get national weed. Also, liberals want a future where vaginas taste like tricks. So you got your legal weed.
You got these tricks
pussies. You got tricks pussies. I mean, what more do you need to get off the bench and start fucking voting, right? So
I'll give you an anecdote that I think is a really good bookend for this like heated convo, and
cool,
I think it'll take you out of it. It'll take you.
I'm having fun. I feel like the podcast got a lot. Yeah.
I like a little heated debate with Joe K. A buddy of ours, local comedian, was dog sitting in this like beautiful high rise. It was the Aqua Building in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
No, know where it is, but it sounds good.
I wouldn't normally drop the name, but I think that what happened there was important. So it's a cabana style, right? There's cabanas outlining the entire pool, and then in front of those cabanas is rows of lawn chairs. Then the pool in the center. And it's springtime, summertime. It's like hot, and everybody's like hanging out in the pool. There's also people like sunbathing. Two very wealthy seeming couples, very, very white, like coiffed hair, like look like they live in Glen Ellen with my brother and sister-in-law, right? Like they're very comfortable financially.
Sweater over the shoulders.
I mean, may as well be. Yeah. Like it was like would they be the villains in an 80s, 90s rom-com? Yeah, absolutely. So they're sitting, and then me and a couple of other Chicago comics are in the pool, and these kids are like having a great time. Do they happen to be black? Absolutely. Are they splashing? Yeah. This woman is like, I need you guys to stop splashing. You're getting us wet. And he goes, we're kids.
The kid said that?
In a pool.
That's pretty aware.
Yeah, he goes, we're kids in a pool. Like he was just like, we're kids. And he goes, in a pool. We're kids in a pool.
It's a smart kid to be that aware.
Hell yeah. And
when I was a kid, I'd have been like, I'm doing something. I was like,
yo, I'm team this dude for the rest of my life. I'm on this kid's I'm like, I will fight this bitch for this kid, but I'm going to wait and see how this plays out. So she's just like so rocked by his self-awareness that she kind of like doubles down into her fucking lawn chair. And then they are like, well, these people are assholes. So they start having a better time. More water, more splashing, more games. Oh, yeah. This dude goes, hey, we said fucking knock it off. Stop splashing. And he goes, and we told you we're kids in a pool. And I was like, this kid for president. You know what I mean? Like, this is my dude. We just keep going, and like they're pissed and they're bitching, and like these kids are just like having a great time. And there's also like a hotel in that
How bad
building.
Was the splashing anyway? How bad could it have been?
It was like at that point it got pretty. The splashing got a little aggressive, but it got like it was like reparation splashing.
Jesus Christ.
So it was like pretty legit. At which
out.
point security walks up and they go, "Hey, we're gonna need you to leave."
Oh, what the fuck?
The kids start going towards the ladder and they go, "Not you." You.
They kicked the adults out?
They kicked the rich white people out of this fucking pool.
Wow, that's a cool story.
And I was
Yes, you
like,
don't
this
see it
is
that
the
way too often.
best. This is the best we've ever treated black kids in a pool. Like, I'm way on board.
Especially since black people are known for not liking swimming.
Dude, but
It's a stupid stereotype,
I
but
mean-
it's true. My black friends tell me they hate swimming.
it was, to me, it was like the most like civil justice I've seen in
That's
a
cool.
really long
'Cause
time.
I thought it was going to end badly with like them calling.
No.
And you know
That's
they
why
have
I
a new
was
thing
like,
like
I got a good
Barbecue
attitude.
Betty,
Yeah, no.
Pool Pam, whatever the new one would have been. Right?
No, it was one of those moments where I was like, yes, like if we can just do this
Right
as a
there,
country,
that's better,
like,
right?
If we can, that's like I'm not disagreeing with you entirely.
I
My
got it,
point
yeah.
is just like, yeah, if we can do this as a people, if we can get to a place where we just look at people and we're like, don't swear at a 12-year-old, regardless of their race.
There's a good
gender,
chance
or
there's a good
cultural
chance those
upbringing.
rich white people would have yelled at white kids doing it too. I don't know if it was always a race thing,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
no, there is a good. You don't believe that?
I think they would have, but I think they would have been.
I've
less
gotten yelled at
comfortable-
by rich white people, and
Wouldn't
you
have
can't
been
get
as-
whiter than me, man. Come on.
Yeah,
And I've gotten yelled at by rich white
but
people.
they yelled at you because they felt like that they could parent you. But I think the cursing them out felt very much like a superiority.
Something else.
Really? I
complex
mean, it
type
could
of
be. I
vibe.
wasn't there, so I didn't read the situation you did, so I'd take your word for it. But you ever notice that people sometimes will assume that? I remember Madison Bumgarner's a pitcher for the Giants. He got into it with Yasiel Puig, who was a black Cuban
Wait,
player.
is he the long haired dude that looks like the dude from Dazed and Confused?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
Ugh,
he does.
he's
He
hot.
does have his long hair though. But they started yelling at each other about something, and everyone's like, "White guy yells at Cuban player. How racist is he?" And I'm like, he might have just been a pitcher yelling at another player. I don't know if it was necessarily his race.
I will not disagree with
And-
you that we are really quick to jump on
That's what- I
any
don't like that.
confrontation as like a racial disagreement.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people are assholes.
Because
And
Bumgarner's an asshole. I've seen him yell at white players too. That's why I didn't.
would I, however, going back to your album recording, would I have yelled at a woman bitching out Marty if she had been black? No, probably
I
not.
hear you. But you notice I threw in the fact that you said 6 white women. I'm like, well, it's 4 and then 2 gay guys. I threw that in there
Yeah,
too
but
because I
they
want to be
were-
fair. Because look
They're
though,
in a blowjob contest.
a lot of people would be like, well, gay people get a lot of hard times, so they're allowed to be assholes. I hear that sometimes
they
too,
do.
where I'm
Their
like,
parents
that's
are
not
shit
always
shows.
true.
People are not allowed to be assholes.
no, because that's not.
period.
That's not. Yeah, I
Joe,
agree.
we're cruising through this.
People are
12-er.
not allowed to be assholes. Period. I agree. You're definitely way ahead of me.
If
Let me
you
get that one.
use your
No, these are two of mine.
lack of privilege, to
These
be
might
a
be
dick,
my 3. Hey, you took that one. Okay.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like that's where I get a little bit because I'm trying to, I'm a person that always wants to. If I get a book I like, I'm gonna read it in a day and a half. I'm gonna knock it out. You know what I mean? Unless
Insatiable.
it's a thinker where I gotta like let
Yeah.
the shit sit. I'm reading this book right now by David Goggins called "Can't Hurt Me."
Hell yeah, dude.
Have you read it?
Rules, yeah.
Dude,
I'm gonna.
that book's so powerful,
do I have to
especially the
re-listen
beginning
to
parts.
this, or will one of you guys text me that?
I'll text you.
I'll text you. It's really it's so powerful the first few chapters that you really have to let them sit, and then the challenge at the end of each chapter. This is a guy who's a Navy SEAL and an Army Green Beret. Has like records for like ultra. You know what an ultra? I didn't even know what an ultramarathon was really.
He's got the best story.
This is the guy. He's got pictures of him up on the screen for you. He's got the most crazy stories. The dude
He's
weighed.
hot too. You like him?
Ooh, why
Yeah.
is he married?
He was. I don't know
Is
if he's
he
married
gay?
anymore. No, he's not gay.
Very not gay.
Wow, is that a black dude with light eyes?
He's just a tough
Why you
fucking
pulling my
dude that's
kryptonite
motivated.
up on
He had the worst
fucking
childhood you've ever
street?
read in your life, though. The worst childhood you've ever fucking read. From his life from 0 to 18 was
Holy
just tragedy
shit. This is the most
after
beautiful dude I've ever seen
tragedy.
in my life.
Yeah, he's a good looking dude.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that shit.
Why'd you zoom in
He's
on the
got,
abs?
he's got all 8.
Yeah, he's ripped out of his mind. He's a fucking Navy SEAL who runs ultra marathons. He's not gonna have flab on him. You know what I mean?
Oh my
You heard the story
God.
about him running for 24 hours straight, pooping himself like 5 times.
Yeah. That's
His like
nuts.
feet were broken when he was done.
Yeah. No, he's insane. I haven't finished
a
the book
truck.
yet. I haven't finished the book,
I
but
mean, he's running from some real dark shit from his.
well,
childhood.
yeah, he
really
talks
is.
about it
Yeah.
though. But he talks about it, and it's
Yeah,
so
no,
great,
I mean,
and
the
it's so
acknowledgement
cool.
is all I need.
But what I like
I
about
don't
him
care
is
how broken you are. I
he-
care whether or not you can acknowledge it.
yeah, he acknowledges that, like, yeah, I dealt with racism, but I didn't want to let that hold me back. I didn't want to let that. And the only thing I see right now where I'm like, yes, we have to acknowledge things, but I don't want I don't want people thinking that they can't overcome things.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think that people are now using it as like their little badge. This is my thing now. You've got a scarlet letter. Well, here's my version of the
I
scarlet
do
letter.
like that mentality.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't. That's why I think his book has been so powerful, and I can't wait to recommend it to everyone. I'm already starting to recommend it. It's rare that I recommend a book I haven't finished, but I can't imagine. Every chapter's been more and more amazing, so I can't imagine.
Solid read.
I'm like, I got like
I can
80
tell
more
by
pages.
a Google image search that everybody should read that book.
Yeah. No, it's great. But I'm saying, like, with my
It's not
views on.
surprising for people listening that I'm a thick white girl.
By the way, yeah, but you don't even have to be a thick white girl to like that guy. That guy, like,
I mean, it doesn't hurt.
he looks like he was like he looks like he was drawn
Yo,
by.
if you want to talk about like a,
I'm blanking on the
dude,
one.
Like
Some-
Michelangelo.
He was drawn by that guy who draws Batman, something Lee. His
Oh,
famous
Jim Lee.
Jim Lee. I couldn't think of Jim Lee, not Stan Lee. Stan Lee never drew the
Stan Lee's
guys.
Marvel.
He came up with them.
oh,
Did
I'm
Stan
so
Lee ever
sorry.
draw them, or he just came
I
up with them?
fucked
No,
up
he
my
wrote- he
comic
wrote
book
them.
drawers.
He sketched Spider-Man. I
He
think.
wrote them. Yeah, he did sketch a couple, but he got
Steve
big artists.
Ditko drew
I
everything.
said drawers, not illustrators. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So I brought up the book because when I accepted that book, because that book, some of the shit's so heavy in the beginning because he's got
Yeah,
such
it's a
horrible
rough
childhood.
ride.
You got to really let that stuff sit. But mostly, if I get into a book,
Yeah, or
I'm
you
getting
gotta
into it.
run for
If I get
24
into
hours
if I get
away
into
from it.
Yeah, right. If I get into an album, I'll listen to it on repeat for fucking obnoxiously. Like that's if I'm into something, I'm into it. And I just have this like let's get to the end of the book already. So when I see all the problems in society, I try to think, how do we get to where things are
To the end of the
good
book.
and things are great? And I know change is slow and it's a process, but sometimes I look at it going, this is why liberals are so unhappy because
I think you're right.
I think
though.
Republicans
I will
want to
say,
win, liberals want to be right.
I don't know if I ever anticipated agreeing with you politically in a lot of ways, but I will.
No, I
say,
come off as a meathead. I get that. So people always
you do,
surprise themselves.
but like
when,
but that's why like I still gravitate towards you because I know you better than that. But I think you do have like a beautiful strain of like humanity that runs through you. Like
Thank
you're a
you,
very
Chelsea.
conscious person, but
I try to be.
I know that. I see it. It's very clear, and I think a lot of times like people can get misread. That said, to acknowledge that like it is changing and it is getting better. That's important.
I think it's just a better approach.
But I think
mentally. I
it's
don't know.
hard for people right now, and I will bring it back to social media 100%. And that
Yeah.
there's this instant gratification, right? Like we are all automatically expected to get 2,000 likes and this, that, and the other, and retweets and posts and somebody write a fucking Vulture article. Like it's just the gratification is being delayed because it takes a long time to look at my grandmother. I mean, she's dead, but it'd be hard
Is
to
she
fight
hot?
her. She was a killer crusher.
pretty hot.
Yeah. I mean, somebody put 7 babies in her. She was doing all right.
Very good.
Um,
We know that pussy didn't taste like bad cereal, huh?
no, yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
a
That was
that's
too
a
much.
that's a
Tricks.
value bag cereal situation. I'm so sorry, Mom, and also Grandma Spencer. But I mean that, right? Like, so you're trying to take people that have never known it to be anything else, and then all of a sudden change it.
Yeah, it's tough. Like it's. Well, we're not going to solve on this podcast. Not yet. That's the goal of
I
the
know,
podcast.
yeah.
We're gonna
2
solve it one of
drunk
these-
white people are
We're
going to
gonna
really
solve it eventually,
figure it out.
everybody. But it has been one of the. Oh, that's your foot. Sorry.
Don't you ever touch me again? I swear to
I
God.
didn't know what I was touching there. I'm like, why is this?
I almost got in a fist fight over the weekend. Somebody put his arm on me.
What?
Like somebody grabbed my elbow.
I got you. By the way, a lot worse than me is touched your foot. Just being an asshole. I definitely. This has been a theme throughout the podcast. I always want to talk about different things because you want to recreate. You know, the goal is to just have bar talk, and what's nice about that is you can talk about deep shit with your friends at a bar. You could talk about whatever.
Oh yeah.
But this has definitely been an ongoing theme, as James could attest to,
Yeah.
is the fact that the problems with society and social media tying into it, whether it's takedown culture, because it's people behind a computer who can't wait to be the first. They want to be the first to say, you're canceled, you're done, who are we boycotting, who are we over with, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and
then-
those people aren't doing shit with their lives,
no,
by
they're
the
not.
way.
I always say there's the doers and the talkers, and you always notice if you go on Facebook with whatever's your circle of friends in Facebook, the people who are always the first to comment on everything, there's something wrong there.
They got the least to do.
There's something wrong there. I definitely believe that. And you're right. There's social media does a bad thing where it makes you compare yourself to other people. You want the likes. Facebook is evil in the sense that it has this algorithm. I've learned to accept social media because it's not going anywhere, so it doesn't bother me. Excuse me. It doesn't bother me anymore.
Nice
Nice.
push.
It's always nice to
Yeah.
push it into the mic, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me anymore.
James and I are trash. We were both like, yeah.
Yeah,
That was a good one, man. That's good audio right there, kid. Good content.
when you use that as a drop.
And
later.
once you've accepted what it is, it definitely takes the stress off of it. I don't get stressed about it anymore. I do think it sucks because when James earlier said, hey, what should I write for the post? Because he knows I read into the algorithm. I read into the algorithm because I work hard on things like this podcast, and it's something I love, so I definitely want to get it out there because I enjoy doing it and with comedy. So you make a post, hey, come to High Dive this Thursday night, which is a great show that Chelsea runs on Thursdays. Stamp's also great. James, they have competing shows, I guess. Not
My
really.
show's better than James's. It's fine.
Okay.
Rising tide lifts all boats, everyone. Let's all have them all do well.
Didn't you leave that shit? Anyway.
Yeah, basically.
Sabbatical.
Sabbatical.
2 month sabbatical.
Okay.
So you'll say, come to this show, but if you share a link, no one's going to see it. You'll get 2 or 3 likes. It'll get buried.
It's impossible.
This dude, my friend Matt Tapia. Sorry, Matt, if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. I feel like Tapia or Tapia. Great dude. He wrote
Great
this.
dude. Don't know his name. Love him so much.
Well, here's the thing. I know his last name just because we're social media friends. Like when I met him in person, it's hi, I'm Matt. He didn't say his last name. So some people, you don't know their last name unless you hear it phonetically. Listen, Hood and Webb, things are great for you two.
Joe is so upset right now, y'all. Like,
No, I'm mad. I feel like a
he's
dick.
making a face that's just, he's like, no, I do like him.
I do. You made
And
me
he
feel like I
does,
do.
but
I
he's
just
a
don't know
great-
how to pronounce his last
Joe's
name.
a great boy.
I
He's
think
doing
it's
great.
It's Tapia or Tapia. No, it's
You
Tapia.
could have
It's-
Googled it.
I no, I have to Google the pronunciation. I know how to spell it. I just don't know how to pronounce it.
Tapia.
Yeah.
Okay, we did it.
There you go. Anyway, he wrote an article about my lead up to my album recording, which again, thanks everyone. Thanks to James. Thanks to Chelsea for opening. Everyone who bought tickets, it went great. We did 2 shows. There was a couple little hiccups. The one they shut up during my set. Second show, there was like an ice CO2 machine going off, ice machine,
and a CO2.
an alarm went off at one point. But overall, it was an amazing audience. I think we got the goods in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty great. So
Oh,
thanks
yeah.
for everyone that. I'm glad it's over. Now I got to get to work on some more new stuff. He shared the link. You know, hey, everyone, check out this article again. And I sent him a private message going, people aren't going to see it when you do it that way. You got to post a picture and then have the link in the picture, or post it and then say link in the comments, because that's what Facebook does, because they don't want anything taking people away from Facebook. If you share a link, remember it used to be you'd share a YouTube link. Now it's like, no, you got to upload the video directly to Facebook. That's the move now. If you want to share a video, people upload it right to it, because if you just say, here's the YouTube link to my latest set,
They're
people
monsters.
won't see
They're
it.
billionaires.
And
they're
they don't
fucking
want yes
monsters.
That's where, like, I'm torn on my views on capitalism, because sometimes I see that shit and I go, who's that making better? Who's that helping? Who's that helping in society besides making people richer? I saw someone who I know, like, is one of those dudes that's
if
like,
we were
fuck
rich,
libs.
we would be such fucking assholes, though.
Probably.
If we were rich, we'd be assholes.
Well, you guys speak for yourself.
Clark Jones was on the podcast and he talked
Bitch,
about
that
it.
wasn't your money. That was your
from the-
daddy's.
I learned from the best, though. So
you got a good upbringing, which is great.
yeah.
So I remember someone today, and it's a dude I love, but I've heard him be like, fucking liberals, what's wrong with America? He made a post going, why is it every grocery store only has like 1 or 2 cashiers open? And someone commented, hey, because they want you to use the self-checkout so they could eventually fire the other 2 cashiers, because that way that way they're all self-checkouts. That's going to slowly happen.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, oh, well, like, yeah, because again, where's the benefit in that? You know, like, that's where socialism, you're going to need some socialism people, because capitalism made itself so efficient that people are getting fired from shit, and there's going to be no more industries.
Automation is coming very fast and very hard.
Yeah, and
McDonald's is already like half kiosks now.
I like the people who go, well, that's what they get for wanting $15 an hour. They're going to replace by kiosks.
Well, those people are assholes.
There are assholes, but also grocery stores, dickhead, have been doing it for 12 years, way before the fight for $15 an hour came about.
But at least grocery stores have more jobs than just cashier.
They do, and I love grocery stores actually, because they always hire mentally disabled people.
Yes.
And grocery stores are one of you talk about community. Grocery stores have a good sense of community. They got a bulletin board with stuff going on.
Love a guy that cares where my eggs hit my bag.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Grocery stores are still great.
Love it.
Grocery stores are still great, but they are slowly, because their corporations are trying to figure that shit out.
Sure.
Now, I would be supportive of a capitalism system if there was no such thing as corporations.
What's your opinion on UBI?
Universal Basic Income. Yeah. Everyone wondering what that abbreviation is. I mean, it works in some places. Alaska basically already does it.
Do they really?
Yeah.
What do they do?
They're just a huge tax break to live there, because they want people to live there.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Because otherwise, why the fuck would you live in Alaska?
It's like Texas.
No, I'm kidding. By the way, we got Alaska listeners, and I got family in Alaska. One of my best friends lives in Alaska.
And he's going to be there next month.
Oh, yeah. No, Alaska's great. No, it's great. It's just the government does give them like a tax break or a huge thing. The
Well,
state
yeah,
government
and
for
they
living
should.
there.
They're like an island,
It's
essentially.
a gorgeous state. My grandmother's favorite vacation she ever been
Dude,
on her life,
there's
and she'd been in a
whales.
lot of places.
They get all the
An Alaskan
crab.
cruise. She went on an Alaskan cruise and was just like, that is the most beautiful state in the summer. I think in the winter you're a little bit like, you know. California's probably the most beautiful state overall.
It was
but
negative
all the
20
time,
here.
baby.
last
Alaska
week,
has
so we
34
can't really talk
volcanoes.
shit.
Alaska has
Yeah.
everything. Alaska has more volcanoes than any other state. Isn't that weird?
Does it
They
really?
just don't go
Yo, your
off. They're all
spectrum
dormant.
showing while you rattling off all these Alaska facts.
My spectrum showing? That seems like it's mean towards a certain group of people. That I'm,
No, I mean I'm on it, so I get to.
I used to be obsessed with geography and all that kind of stuff. I was. I read all sorts of fun geography
Why did you
facts.
talk about this shit? You got like mad facts.
I got tons. I used to run a trivia night. I used to run a couple trivia nights. So
Dude,
I
it's
know all
all-
sorts of that stuff. I'm really
It's
into
all
it.
coming out. I think.
I used to be a political news junkie too.
all coming
I used to be a political news junkie too. You think I'm on the spectrum? Maybe I am. Who knows?
Dude, yeah. Well, I
I don't
think
rule
every,
anything
I
out.
think I think
Spectrum.
that
I
every
don't rule
comedian's on
anything.
the spectrum.
I do not rule anything
I think
out.
there's like a weird. It takes a weird thing to just want to observe the world and then make it funny.
Can I tell you what I want to do with my comedy going forward? How long have we been going, man? We're going a while. Huh?
4
2
hours?
hours and 4 seconds.
2 hours and 4 hours. All right, we'll wrap
Let's
it up
keep
in a couple
going.
minutes. We'll wrap it up.
Go
I'm
as
having a
long
good
as you
time. I'm having a
want.
good time. And we got to
Yeah,
cut out
James
those.
is gonna
We'll
load a
edit
bowl.
that awkward bullshit early on.
Oh,
Anyone chiming in on Facebook? People just calling me an asshole. Probably.
Chad McDaniel is.
I love Chad. Chad's the man. Chad McD. What's up, bud?
Chad McDee's been pretty quiet.
He's a good dude. You would love
sleeping.
Chad James because he's a big wrestling fan like you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm okay. I don't need people chiming in. I just, you're curious. With comedy, you're talking about like every comedian being on the spectrum and all that kind of stuff. One of the things I don't like the idea that every comedian is a broken piece of shit. I don't like the idea that, I remember talking to some people and they're like, man, I kudos to you for trying to make that family life work, because I feel like every time I know a comedian who ends up having kids, they end up either getting a divorce or quitting comedy.
I had this last week.
And
Somebody
I
goes.
refuse to believe that that's what
A guy on a date was like, "Don't all comedians hate themselves?"
Yeah, I don't like that.
And I was like,
Yes, but you don't get to
here's-
say it.
But here's my thing. I think that like, I don't think that it should be shit on as much as it is, right? Because like I think that we did, at some point.
Sure.
I think there was like a path, right? Where like those people, I think the comedians are the people that hated themselves so much and thought like, I don't really like feeling this way. I don't want other people to feel this way. I think it'd be cool if I could find a way to observe the world in a way that acknowledges this like sort of compartmentalism and like just creates these like broad stroking visualizations. Why was that so hard?
It's a tough one. It's 4 syllables.
It's the Z and the S's that really bring up my fucking dyslexia. But that like that is it, right? Like it's like maybe I did hate myself at a point, but the idea that we're all just like these broken, shattered people that can't function. Like, no, I think that you're projecting on the fact that I tap into some of your brokenness.
Could be. Yeah, definitely. I think there's something to that.
And
I just think I think you hit the nail on the head with that. The idea that we're very good at reflecting what's going on in society.
the
right?
observational
And we try to make people
quality
feel
is
good about it.
massive.
That's why one of the things I remember reading about Robin Williams after he died was that he never wanted people to feel the way he felt. So that's why he always felt the need to be on. That's why he would go out of his way for people. One of the last things Robin Williams did about 10 minutes before he killed himself was send a video to a sick girl who was reaching out to him. Like a girl that was like,
Really?
like dying in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could look that up. And then he killed himself like 15 minutes after he did that.
Yeah, that's
And
real.
it's weird is because one of the things
He's why I do stand up. I loved him.
yeah, he was great. One of the things people say about people who are going to kill themselves is that they go, it's so weird. They were in such a good mood the last few weeks. That's common because they already made up their mind they're going to kill themselves. So
Right.
the last few weeks, they're very happy because they're like, oh, I made a decision.
And then they're just waiting for the time to
My
come.
relief.
Yeah.
Yeah, this pain is going
My
to go
relief
away.
is coming.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I made the date coming up in 2 weeks. And so when
I
when
picked
people,
the time.
people are
yeah.
running into them, they're like, man, I saw, he was in a great mood. I don't understand what happened. I'm shocked. He was so bubbly and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, because they already
It's
made
resolved.
that. Yeah, which is sad because then people are like, if only I'd known. I just didn't know, and then it really affects
Yeah,
people
but it's
around
a
them.
fucking 7 years you ignored him before that, motherfucker.
I know. I always go weird with suicide because I'm such a huge Kurt Cobain fan that maybe sometimes I apologize for a little bit. I hear people say like, oh, it's such a selfish act. And I go, is it though? Because these people were in such grave pain that they thought the only way I was to end their life And then people will say, yeah, it's selfish because they didn't think about the people around them. I go, well, how about the people around them are being selfish because they wanted a miserable person to keep suffering? You know,
it's a
that's what I used to
it's
think.
a double-edged sword.
I know now.
Careful there, Kevorkian.
I know, right? I said that's what I used to think. Now I'm like, I think, yeah, life is, that sounds corny. Choose life. I know it sounds cliched and corny, but no, I definitely think. I think life is what you make of it. I think it's like you have the power
it's just a
to really
double-edged sword,
get
right?
help
Like it's
if
like
you need it,
you can get help. You can get help, but like I think also there's a lot of people that are anti-prescription drug. There's a lot of people that don't
get rid of the
believe in-
stigma. So comedians are great
Right,
because
like,
we're trying to get rid of the stigma
I think
around all this
that's the
stuff.
most important thing is like we're finally. You want to talk about change in this country? I'm gonna throw a call back to the race shit. I'm gonna talk about like mental health is finally on the table,
Which is great. Yeah,
it hasn't been
I know.
forever. I mean,
I
yeah,
know.
it took Bourdain, it took Robin Williams, it took Kate Spade. It's finally taking these people that are perceived as having everything, that are perceived as super successful, right? And now we're saying like they still weren't happy.
Yeah.
Okay, why
And at the
weren't
time-
they happy?
yeah.
What do they need? What do we need to give them? What do we need to give people who are sick? What do those people whose mental health is in fucking turmoil, what do they need?
And when I had those thoughts, I wasn't in a good headspace. But since I'm in a great headspace, I've been in a great headspace the last, going on 2 years plus. It's you definitely look at things differently. Where you're like, no, like life, like I think life's amazing. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, but when you're in that fucking tailspin,
because you never think you're gonna get out of it, and you think, well, who gives a shit? At the honestly, it's easy to love life. It's easy to hate, easier to hate it.
Absolutely.
I do think it could be easy. It really depends on how you wake up, and that's why me and James and people are like, put the phone away, do this when you're in a funk. You could really get yourself out by exercise, eat better, all those other kind of stuff, and share that information
help,
with people.
man.
There's an abundance out there. So when you meet people who like find these little nuggets of ways to be happy and they keep them themselves, fuck you.
The food and the exercise, like I lost my dad. It was gut-wrenching. I moved home from a city that I was like, I'm never leaving this city. I'm here to make my dreams happen. And then to come home to Chicago and like losing someone that had no choice in going, right? Like that's a real thing that happens. And then you're like, okay, let me evaluate my life. Because I've been in the pity party of one for a long time. And then you're like, maybe I should get my fucking ass out of bed. And I should hit a yoga mat, hit a treadmill. Like your workout doesn't have to be intense. Like maybe your thing is meditation. That's the things everybody's like, oh, wellness, you got to work out. It's like maybe you need to just sit and read a book for an hour before you go to work so that you can like feel like you're not just trudging through this fucking weird like foxhole of shitty corporate nonsense.
You know how people give a hard time to people who like post when they're working out and all that other kind of stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I no longer think that way. I think I see those people post those.
Whatever
I
you
go,
want.
yeah, do it.
Yeah, do it.
No, I
If
got a
that makes
buddy
you
of mine.
feel good,
I'll give him a
do
shout out
it.
right now. My buddy Mike Riccio. He's got like a David Goggins body. He's like an 8-pack. He's ripped out his mind.
Do you want to give me
He's
his
married.
number?
He's married.
God
Come on
damn
now. Beautiful family.
you see
Another
that
kid
he
on the
knew
way.
that I was gonna
Congrats,
ask?
Mike.
Oh, yeah.
I know where your head was at. That dude though will post clips of himself at freaking 5:45 in the morning.
Like doing box jumps.
Not
and
even
shit.
clips of himself, just clips of being at the gym. It's not like,
Yeah.
And I know he's kind of doing it to motivate. And he'll say like, look, start now. You don't need to I'm going to start this January 1st. It's like, start right now.
You can
or you
just
could
do
like
it
just
tomorrow.
the idea
Yeah.
that you're in complete control. Are you looking at my friend?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's on Facebook. He's on Instagram.
I mean, he's on both. He's gonna be posting shit on.
Yeah, if he's posting.
I have to give you the name for you to look at.
You said it
I'll
earlier.
show it afterwards. We don't have time for this right now on the podcast. Come on.
You talk.
I will.
search.
He's a good-looking guy. All right. Anyway, though, lastly, let's just end it on this because we
Let's
got
do it.
everyone. Love life and don't be racist. And if you're
And don't rape women.
Don't rape women.
Those are the three
and,
go-tos.
and lighten the fuck up if you're looking for things to be hate every goddamn morning. If you could drink, I'm talking about get drunk, sloshed, fucking off the shank.
Yeah.
Like just waste it, right? With anyone in history, whether they're alive or dead, has to be famous though, because I'm, you know, you could. I'm sure.
Because you know I was gonna say my dad.
Of course, I knew that. Which I don't. Which that's a sweet answer. It's a sweet answer. You know
No,
what I mean?
but famous person, yeah.
Because I could choose a dead loved one too, and everyone should choose a dead loved one because fuck celebrity and fame. But it's more fun for the question. Who would it be? Maybe I should start the podcast with this question going forward. I think I want to do this question every podcast because it's always.
Can I pick one man and one woman?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Because it would for sure be Gilda Radner.
Okay, cool, yeah.
Because
I
I
get
just
that.
have like a lot of follow-up questions about what it was like starting SNL and like what that vibe was.
Yeah.
But then it would also be Shakespeare.
Shakespeare, really?
Yeah.
All right. Why? Because what would you talk about? while
Sonnet
getting drunk with him?
113.
Which sonnet is that?
Since I left you, mine eyes are in my mind, and that which governs me about doth part its function and is partly blind, etc., etc. That
You don't have it memorized? It's only 14 lines, aren't they?
I have the rest of it.
Is that
yeah,
right? Is
but
sonnet's
I
14
was
lines? Am
doing
I right
it
on that? I think it's 14.
16, I think.
16? All right.
I think it's 14 and then a rhyming couplet at the
There
end.
you go. Okay.
But the
I remember
the
very
way
little.
that the
It's
way
14.
that
14. Fuck yeah. Thank
got
you.
it.
Sorry.
12 and a couplet.
No, I got it. I said 14.
Poem
Chelsea
of
said
14
16.
lines and any number of formal rhyme schemes.
So I was
Okay.
right. It's okay.
Yeah.
But you know that you actually know
No.
it. I don't know
All right,
it.
But-
you nerds.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, I won't nerd out on iambic pentameter on your podcast, but no, like I just think that was a, and there's a lot of like he didn't write it and this that either, but like that like
Shakespeare's a good one,
ability
though.
that ability to communicate tragedy and comedy and love and loss, and to make it so fucking wide reaching.
What beverage are you drinking with him?
I would probably some weird unfiltered ale, right? I mean, I'm not gonna try to like introduce the dude to an IPA. He would fucking blow his mind.
He'd be like, "What's this overrated shit?"
No, something in a
People
sterling,
like this
something in like
crap?
a pewter mug.
That's what they like
yeah.
2,000 years from now? Brutal.
Yeah, but
Not
like, I mean,
2,000.
I think
Who was
that
he
like,
alive? Why did I make him? I made him Jesus. Shakespeare was
Yeah.
alive 2,000 years ago.
I think like Shakespeare, because like that, like
It's a good
the
one.
that idea as a comedian where you are like so fucking undeniably relatable.
Yeah.
Here's a dude whose shit was written 700 years ago. I mean, 1400s, but like
Yeah.
so long ago
And still so prevalent. That's crazy.
that people are like, I'm gonna make a Heath Ledger movie out of this with
It's
Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it. Like,
Because when you really think about it, who was the Brad Pitt of the 1930s? People don't even watch that guy's movies anymore.
Cary
you could
Grant.
say Cary
I was gonna
Cooper,
say, yeah, like some
Gary
Singing in the
Cooper,
Rain
or Cary
shit,
Grant, or someone like that. Cagney. Obviously, there's
Yeah.
big names back then that we still know their name now.
Yep.
But you're not gonna see one of those movies on FX at 3 in the afternoon.
You'll see it
right
on
now.
TCM.
Yeah, that's true.
But you're
Turner
not. But
Classic
you're not
movie.
watching TCM.
But my point
no,
was that
yeah,
eventually,
are you at my mom's house?
eventually
Yeah, right.
people get forgotten.
Yeah.
The number of people that like stand the test of time who were around 1,000 years ago
yeah, that's what I'm
is
saying.
such a small number.
It's
so
a small
to
number.
drink with one of those is pretty smart. So it's a good choice. I'm
Who
not
would you
gonna.
drink with?
I'm gonna give. I like the male female. I'm gonna give the female and then we'll end it, and then the male I'll save because I'm gonna change mine. Not change it, but I'll add. Here's another person I'd like to because I'm here
Yeah,
every week.
I like
it's my
it.
podcast. I
Yeah.
can't shoot my load all in one go. I gotta pace myself. All right, listen. A
I
woman.
don't know. You guys could like come a little and then stop. That's crazy.
We can't.
I've been lied to.
Oh, you're just that good that it all comes
yeah.
out.
No.
Uh,
Thank you. Oh my God,
See?
stop it.
Look, I'm showing you hot black guys, and well, James
Yeah,
did
give me
that
a
for-
hot black dude with an 8-pack, and also tell me that I'm good at making dudes come. I'll come back every week.
There you, all right, beautiful. So I would choose Helena Troy.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
They
she
started a
launched
war.
so many ships.
Launched a shit, right?
1,000 of them.
Also, I think to myself, I'm gonna get hammered drunk. I want it to be with someone who's so hot that I could later be
I
like to my
feel
wife,
like-
I'm like, she started wars. Could you blame me for like,
Oh yeah, well yeah,
kissing
that's
some boob or
yeah.
whatever I did? I don't know. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna
You would
cheat. but
definitely fuck her.
I think
She
I'd be allowed
launched
to.
1,000
She
ships.
like you know what I mean? I feel like if I got drunk one night where I was allowed to get drunk with any celebrity and it was Helena Troy, who's talked about being like the most beautiful woman of all time. And I came
thought
back to
that
my
was
wife and I'm
Cleopatra.
like, nah, she was crazy by the way. All women should lead. Yeah, she was evil as fuck. Anyway, no, I laugh when everyone's like, we need more female leaders. I'm like, well, the ones we've had have been terrible. Thatcher sucked. Queen Victoria,
Yeah.
huge cunt. All right, anyway.
I'm saying nothing.
Don't say. Well, it's a joke, obviously too.
That's why I'm saying nothing.
I think my wife would be like, wait, you fucking you downed a bottle of Jameson with Helena Troy and
Hell yeah.
coming back to me? What are you, a pussy? I didn't marry such a soft guy. Come on, man.
Babe, I have only launched 3 ships. I can't believe you're back.
Yeah, that'd be bad. All right. Well, you know what, Chelsea? Where could they find you?
You don't have. What's your dude?
Do I want to give a dude one away too?
Yeah,
sure. I thought I'd just give a female. Yeah.
We do 2 and 2.
All right. Well, should I go deep into history? I'll do a modern guy. I'd like to get hammered with. I don't know if I'm doing a modern because that's like believable. I could do that.
So what? Let me hear it.
What do I want to get drunk with?
Put it out
right
there.
now?
Maybe he'll hear it.
I will. The Cubs president Theo Epstein.
Oh, that's easy.
Oh,
for
hell
you.
yeah.
I've been within him. I've been within 10 feet of him. I meant to say within 10 feet of him.
I've also
a
been
few
inside
times.
of him. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, 2016 wasn't an
It
accident.
was actually in a Red Sox situation, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think David Goggins drinks, but I would like to.
No.
That dude's pretty inspiring. Who's someone that I really
I would
like?
actually love to watch you sit down with Epstein.
Oh, Liam Gallagher, lead singer of Oasis, seems like he'd be really fun to party with.
Still?
Yes, still.
You think
Because he hasn't
You
changed.
think Liam still got it?
Yeah, I do. I think he's still. I mean, obviously his vocal range isn't what it was when he was 22.
No, it's not.
No, I mean nobody's is though.
Yeah.
That's what's always so sad about people when they age. Like
well,
Mariah
look at
Carey
Mariah.
was right. We saw the same. It happens with every singer though. Every singer.
I don't know. Ozzy held it together for a while.
Did he ever?
Yeah, when
together
you
in the first
scream
place?
yell, then you're fine.
Ozzy's great.
No, he's got great vocals, but that type of singing.
James' rich kid upbringing is really showing right now.
No,
Let us,
Ozzy, come on, man.
Yeah, because you got to be rich to like Ozzy Osbourne. Get out of here. Come
You
on.
gotta
No,
be
I would not
rebellious as
pay to
fuck,
see
though.
Ozzy Osbourne. I would go to a concert, sure, but like even
I saw him
Neil-
3 years ago live. 2 years ago. He's great.
No, the show was great. I'm sure he wasn't hitting every fucking note.
Yeah, he
Would you
was.
want him to?
He nailed it.
No, rock and roll ain't supposed to be pretty.
Ozzy,
Yeah,
we're pulling for
you.
you.
Know how you keep your vocal range up by not raising your kids.
Yeah, that's what they all did.
That's his
Yeah,
fucking
right.
move.
That was a good move on his end, right? And biting the heads off with bats. Or
He has pneumonia in the hospital right now. He might die.
Oh, I hope he doesn't, because I don't want anyone to die. But I'm gonna go Liam Gallagher right now. I'm a big fan of his attitude. He seems to have like a good
Worldview.
He's got a nice combo of I don't give a fuck, but also like we're all just here to have a good time. I came across this video recently that I'd shared a long time ago. It was called there's this show in Ireland called Hardy Bucks, and it's hilarious. And a big fan of like all the I followed it when it was a YouTube series and then it became an actual series like on the it would be like a show starting on YouTube and then being on like NBC. It was on RT, which is like their NBC. And I remember they do these like fun videos too on the side. They did like Hardy Bucks Guide to St. Patrick's Day, where it showed them all like drinking and having a good time.
Like having like a killer ass YouTube series.
Yeah,
like,
it was so much fun.
parlaying into
So-
their
and then they had like little like side videos and stuff. Like they'd be like us, those guys at Christmas, and then those guys on this date. And so the one was them on St. Patrick's Day, and this is a good quote to end today's podcast. They talked to the one guy who's coincidentally enough last name is Kilgallon. Good dude, probably some sort of
Stop
relation.
it.
I've actually corresponded with him through Facebook a few times, like hey, congratulations and stuff like that on certain things. And he said, "Well, us Irish have an old saying. In the grand scheme of things, human beings, we're here for a nanosecond. When you think about like how much time, you're barely here, right?" He goes, "So us Irish believe you're not here for a long time. You're here for a good time." And I took a sip of the pint, and I'm like, you know what? Fucking love that shit.
I love
Cheers.
that shit too.
And that's how we're gonna end it. This has been for Chelsea Hood. By the way, follow her on Twitter at Chelsea Hood, or is it at Chelsea Hood? Your full name.
Yep.
Very smart. Be on the lookout for more stuff happening from a POC network. Do you still have? Is that the new tag on everything?
Yeah,
or are you
People
still
of Comedy.
People of Comedy from James Webb. There's other great podcasts on here. You got to check them all out. I love them all.
Legal
And then
Aliens
you gotta
Live
buy-
Wednesday.
They're
But you
going
gotta
live
buy-
on Wednesday.
You gotta be.
I'm going live in a couple weeks at the
Joe's
Cubby
new
Bear in
fucking
Chicago.
album, man.
Yeah.
Well, when that
Can't
comes out,
complain.
you gotta check out
That's
Can't
the
Complain.
move.
That's why I named it Can't Complain. I'm trying to be more positive.
So
about things.
good.
All right, cheers everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
We did it.
I can't believe it went that long.
We got in some